Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rugby Bash Legends in your living room. My name is Bruce Aitchison from Happiness is Egg-Shaped, and I am the luckiest man in the world because I get to be your host for this afternoon's entertainment. And because the England-Italy game isn't finished yet, let's watch that together as well. Now, if you're going to have two legends in your living room, one from Scotland, one from Wales, what do you go for? You go for one outstanding back row who, even though he played all those years in that position, is still one of the most handsome men in rugby. And having worked with him before, is absolutely bang on with his analysis. And what's the evidence? Because last year when Scotland played France, he told me on the Thursday, Scotland are going to beat France. What happened? Scotland beat France. So this is a man worth listening to, and he is magnificent to look at. He's in the south of France and he has joined us today. Who would you pick from Wales? Well, I know who I would pick. Yes, it's been a little bit uncomfortable in the preparation because he knows how much I am in love with him. He is my hashtag man crush. He is everybody's favourite centre for Wales, for the Lions, for all those unbelievable teams he is churning out for. And at the moment, in my opinion, and most people's opinion, he is the most informed Welsh centre in rugby union today. But he's with us instead of being out there at Murrayfield. So, without any further ado, let's bring in the one and only Johnnie Beattie and the magnificent Jamie Roberts. Gentlemen, how are we?
Very well, thanks, Brucey. Yourself?
Yes, I am excited. Jamie seems a little bit stunned. What have I done, Jamie?
How are you, mate? I've got my can of Heineken. I'm on my sofa. I'm watching England put 40 points on Italy, which after 5 minutes, I was a bit concerned what would happen, but it's too good for them, aren't they? Too good. Italy, 40 points again.
Where do players stand on Italy? What's the the Six Nations game preparing for Italy? Is there a nervousness about it?
Banana skin.
Is that?
You just don't want to be. You just don't want to be the team that loses to Italy and flips the tournament on its head. That's happened to me. One of my last caps was 2015, which was Italy's last win in the tournament, I think, which was a shocker. And it's just, look, fantastic place, phenomenal destination, amazing place to go and play rugby, but I think Sam Warburton was quite right in his comments earlier in the week that there's, maybe to be looked at if you're going to expand things and include other nations, the possibility of relegation. Weirdly in this game, 20 points off England, they've strung together some decent stuff. Autumn Nations Cup, they were fantastic for the first 50, 55 minutes of each game, then they just fell away. So I don't know where my head is at, but look, you don't want to lose them in the Six Nations. Certainly a different era now away from Paris and Castro Giovanni and the sort of rock stars that you had, but for 12, 18, 24 months they've been poor.
Jamie, this is 29th loss on the bounce for Italy. That's pretty tough going, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I played in teams that almost lost to Italy. I've been in, Warren Gatland was almost guilty of it. We play Italy in maybe the fourth game of a tournament, and he'd want to rest all his players for the final game. And I remember one year made 13 changes to the starting team, and we only won the game in the last 10 minutes. We were losing going into minute 70, and I think Johnny's probably been there as well. Those kind of close games, you always kind of back your fitness to come through against Italy. In that last quarter, usually, the level they're playing domestically, and so the preparation we had in Wales camp, we always backed ourselves as a fitter side and knew come the last quarter, if the game was tight, we'd run away with it. But yeah, 29 losses on the bounce is, it's hard to make it against not talking about relegation, isn't it? Is there going to be a team in the tournament which is going to provide more competition? Is that Georgia or one of the lesser nations, one of the tier 2 nations coming up into the tournament? I'd argue that Italy probably provide a better opposition than Georgia would. So I don't know if that's the answer.
Would you be keen with a South African involvement? If the South Africans are obviously joining the Pro 14 or whatever it's going to be called, would you be keen for that? Johnny's shaking his head. No.
I'm a traditionalist, mate. I still wish it was the 5 nations. No, look, I don't think that logistically as well for the tournament and chucking everything out to South Africa, no, definitely not would be my answer. Although a little midwinter breakdown in Cape Town would be wonderful. You've been down there, Jamie. You played at the Stormers. It's a wonderful place to go and play rugby, but I just think the flavour that the Six Nations has traditionally, sticking Tri-Nations in there is completely mixing it up. I'd rather see them have like a proper Autumn Nations Cup with a mixed bag of North and Southern Hemisphere teams.
Yeah, I'd agree with Johnny there. South Africa, no go in the Six Nations for me, mate. I mean, they're adding them to the league already.
Yeah.
The club sides, whether we'll see that Rainbow Cup happen in March, I doubt it. Although everything I'm hearing is that it's going ahead. I'd be amazed if that goes ahead come March, April time, and the South African teams travel here. But yeah, on the international stage, absolutely no chance.
But you got to think as well, domestically, surely that's a pure... The only thing that's working there is commercial revenue. So you've got TV rights. I mean, there's no bums on seats. You're not adding to anything in any stadium. So it's purely what can we get in TV rights and a bit more exposure. That's the only thing.
Yeah, Six Nations is not getting far away from that. Gents, I'll let you watch the last few minutes just as I give people at home a few bits of information. So this is Rugby Bash Legends in Your Living Room. You've already heard from the two legends. This is brought to you by Rugby Tour Specialists. And if you have, you'll have your box from Snackfully. Boys are already tucking in. Jamie's been away at the fridge to get his dip for his chips. And everybody seems like they're doing pretty well. My bottle of Glen Turret appears to have shrunk in the post, but that's for later for a Scottish win celebration. Please make sure you tweet your pictures in at Rugby Bash on Twitter. Use the hashtag Rugby Bash, and the best picture will be chosen at the end of the game, and the winner of the best picture will get tickets to a future Rugby Bash game. So you'll be able to choose one of the other Six Nation games that are coming up with some of our other legends like Gareth Anscombe, Mike Brown, Brendan Kayser, Nick Easter, all sorts coming up. So get your pictures in and let's see what you're up to. Let's see how you're enjoying your box and how you're watching. You can also send pictures to the WhatsApp number that is on the screen there. And at halftime, we'll talk a little bit more about the Man of the Match award, and we'll get a little bit of insight from our legends to see who they think the pundits on BBC will pick as Man of the Match. If you guess, you'll go into the hat, and the winner of the Man of the Match competition will win a real, proper, big bottle of Glen Turret whiskey that will be sent to you. Please get your questions in. Use all that information that's down there on the screen. Get your questions in for Jamie and Johnny. We'll ask them as we go along. And welcome to the clubs who are watching. The mighty Strathmore up in the north of Scotland, who have promised me a bridie every time I say their name. So Strathmore, Strathmore, Strathmore. Go on, the mighty Strath, who do great work in the community. We'll maybe talk a little bit about that later on. They do some great work with autistic rugby, and they've got all sorts going on. And the home, of course, of the Fagerson brothers. And then we've got Cartha Queen's Park, JB from your neck of the woods over in Las Vegas. Cartha Queen's Park are here with their funny-shaped rugby posts. So great that Cartha are there, members of the Happiness is Egg-shaped pack. So delighted that they've joined. And I think this is probably the attraction of the legends. Alton Rugby Club down in Southampton have joined us. So I don't know if they're supporting Wales or Scotland or if they're just along for the ride. So brilliant to have them with us. And then Jamie's going to start laughing as soon as I have a pop at this, because our Welsh club representatives, look, he's already got a smile on because he knows I'm going to butcher it. Llanwit Fadra.
Oh, it's not bad.
That was the bad. A mate of mine was from Llanwit Major. A friend of mine's from Llanwit Major. He played there.
Llanwit Fadra. So, yeah, nice to have a Welsh club on here. I actually played for Llanwit Fadra once.
Away.
Yeah, I actually played for them. I was 18 years old. I was in the academy at the Blues, and I was coming back from long-term injury. And the academy manager at the time, he's from the Llanwit Fadra club. So, yes, I played 80 minutes at Llanwit Fadra. 2005, I think.
That is a brilliant link. I love that. And how did you play? Did you play well?
Oh, mate, can't remember.
Of course he
Probably
did.
not.
Come on.
Jamie Roberts, the informed Welsh centre. I'm sure you were absolutely magnificent. Gents, we're almost at the end of this. Do you think, is it just kind of fizzled out? What do you reckon?
I actually need England to score another 10 points for my match point predictor. So hopefully it's not fizzled out. There's one more try to come, surely.
I need the Vunipolas to score some tries to get me some points for my
They're both off the pitch,
team.
mate.
Oh, hugely disappointing. Kyle Sinclair gets player of the match. Cue all the calls for if these boys were available, they would have beat Scotland last week. What do you reckon, Johnny? Wales up for it today?
Yeah, look, I think obviously Scotland will have gone through the training week with a skip in their step after winning for the first time at Twickenham since 1983. Look, it's hard with Jamie sitting there to say what I want to say exactly. But look, I think that Welsh rugby's kind of been
taken on any point, mate. You can say what you want to say.
You should be playing. You should be playing today. I just think, look, Wales have still got. I think they've got 8 or 9 British lines in their starting 15, but they haven't been playing the way that they've operated the past decade under Gatland and Sean Edwards. I just think with the changes behind the scenes and the changing in the coaching staff, they're not the team that they have been. They've been so dominant in so many different facets of their game, and they just look a bit loose, which is probably where they could do with Jamie to straighten things up for them and shore up defensively and smash some people. So, look, I think it's a big opportunity for Scotland to back it up. It'll be the first time, if they win, that they've won 2. This is a ridiculous stat. The first time that they've won 2 games, or their first 2 games of the Six Nations since 1990. It's ridiculous. Shows what I played through, Jamie. But that's it. It'd be ridiculous if they managed it. And then you never know. Look, at the start of the tournament, you knew you've got Italy, Wales, and Ireland at home. You could possibly do all those with the things that are going on at Wales and Ireland, and Italy you should win. And then you have to nick something away from home. You've already done that. You've already beaten England. Now you have to back it up, double down, and hopefully get a win over a Welsh side that's going through a bit of a transition.
Jamie, what do you reckon to the Scots? Do you know much about James Lang, who's playing at 12?
I do. I played with Lang at 12. He came up through the Harlequin system. I guess when I was there, I did 3 years at Harlequins, and my first year there, he was one of the young lads. He got more game time towards the second and third year I was there, but quality player. He's developed physically a huge amount in the last couple of years. He's a man now. He was a boy when I was with him at Quins, but he's much bigger physically, and he's a smart player. Like, he's powerful, he's quick, he's a good distributor of the ball. He is a real kind of out and out 12, and I guess Scotland, in losing Cam Redpath, who was outstanding last week, can call upon someone of that quality. And it's obvious Gregor wants to play a game where they've got someone with power at 12, but also a second 10. And in both Cam Redpath and James Lang, they've got those players, and that bodes very well for them moving forward, because these guys don't have much mileage on the clock. They're pretty young guys, and again, going to have a huge drive for Scotland. And it wouldn't surprise me to see those two battling for the 12 jersey for the next 5-6 years.
I was speaking to Rupert Moon on Thursday, and he was telling me James Lang's Welsh qualified.
He is, mate. So he played in North Wales. Quins nicked him from RGC, which is a side up in North Wales.
Yeah.
He did a few seasons up there. Mooney would have coached him.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he was telling me. He's taking all the credit for him.
Yeah, I think he was Welsh qualified, English qualified, and Scottish qualified. So he could have picked either 3, and the bastard chose Scotland.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well. Well, England are all over. We were having a chat before about Italy. Johnny, what do Italy do now? Can they get a win?
Hopefully not, is my... no, look, the closest they've been in traditionally over the past 5-10 years has been to Scotland, so I absolutely don't want them to go to Murrayfield and win. Do I see them beating the other sides in the tournament? No, is the honest answer. Not by a long streak. They're again, 20 points at Twickenham. It's a decent performance, but just too much not done right at this level.
Yeah, England probably needed that after the Scotland game, didn't they, Jamie, to bounce back a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. England would be bitterly disappointed about last weekend. Scotland were fantastic last weekend, but England were poor. It was a bit of both for me, but I think Scotland outperformed even their expectations. They were magnificent last weekend.
Do you think that means that Wales have got to take them a bit more seriously this week? Is that maybe stitch Scotland up a bit?
Yeah, my worry for Scotland is they've played their cup final, and we saw it. We saw it in the World Cup with England beating the All Blacks, coming off such a high, and they just couldn't replicate that intensity again in the final. It's almost as if they'd had their high, and Scotland would have been building for that opening match for months. Behind the scenes, Gregor Townsend with his players. That's not just a 2-week prep going into that England game. It would have been months in the making. Certainly after the Autumn Nations Cup, they would have been prepping for that England game, and they got the result, and rightly so. They were fantastic. They've lost, obviously, Cameron Puth. Jamie Ritchie is a huge loss to them. I think he's an outstanding player.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good player. But yeah, I mean, I'm raving about Hamish Watson for years. He's that sort of player I don't think has had the recognition that he deserves. Magnificent rugby player, like proper quality. Does it for club and country, has done for years, and now I think people I guess the wider rugby audience are starting to take him a bit more seriously as a serious Lions contender because he's a top operator.
Johnny,
right,
does that only come from winning though? Hamish, Jamie, you're saying he's been doing it for years. Is he only going to be taken seriously if Scotland win? Does Scotland need to do their bit for Hamish Watson?
Oh, well, it's always easier to shine in a winning team, isn't it? That's pro sport. It's very difficult to shine in a losing team, or certainly, get talked about as much. That's the nature of rugby, and certainly international rugby. But as I said, I've clocked Hamish Watson for many years now. One probably playing against him at test level earlier in his test career, but over the last 2 years, every time he's played for Scotland, he's been one of the standout players. Proper power, proper, physicality, but really clever rugby player. And it would surprise me if he didn't go on the Lions tour this summer.
So, mate, you got Tipperick, you got Curry, you got Hamish Watson. Who's not getting on the plane? Or are they going to take three boys?
I think they all go. I think Jack Willis is, unfortunately, that looked really nasty today, his injury, and he would have been another one in the mix for me.
The bolter.
Yeah, exactly. But can Hamish Watson play 6?
No.
So, Johnny, question on the screen from Jack Lynch. Who do you think will get to go from Scotland?
I think this is the weird thing. And obviously, Jamie, you know Gats much better than I do, Warren Gatland. But so even if Scotland go and win 3, 4, 5 games of this tournament, Warren Gatland's never worked with any of them really. Your tendency, even in a Welsh team or an English team that finished 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, would be to stick with what you know, the tried and tested, which is where I think Scotland might unfortunately lose out on a couple of battles. But I think if you go through the team, you've got potential all over the place. Like even sneaky ones, people don't really talk about Xander Fagerson, but doesn't do anything wrong as a tight head prop. Holds up his end of the scrum. Rory Sutherland on the other side as well. Pressure on England last week, 2 penalties, carries. Like Xander Ferguson regularly gets through 15 to 20 tackles in the game, like complete modern prop, and is just sort of peaking at the right time. So front row, there's a couple of props that could get on there. Johnny Gray did himself absolutely no harm last week with that performance at Twickenham. Again, a guy that's probably vying directly with Alan Wynne-Jones, but then Gats has got the experience of working with Alan Wynne-Jones for 10 years. Back row, you got to think if Jamie Ritchie can stay fit. He's definitely in with a shout. Hamish Watson again, 100% in with a shout. Finn Russell, nailed on. Cam Redpath could be a bolter. Haven't seen that much from international level. 1 test, but there's loads of people that can stick their hands up. Stuart Hogg, absolutely nailed on. There are people that can stick their hands up, but ultimately, unless Scotland go through this tournament and are consistent, not many of them are going to get on the plane because Gatland doesn't know any of them. is my honest
Johnny,
view.
can I ask you a question? Do you think Finn Russell is nailed on?
To get on the plane?
The Finn bit.
Get on the plane, yeah.
Do you think he's a Warren Gatland sort of 10?
No, he's not. But then I'd take him as my second/third choice. I just love. Everybody wants to watch him play. No, he's not Warren Gatland's type of 10. But if I was picking it, I'd have him on there because I love watching him. I love playing with him. He's smart. He can unlock things. You put him with better players outside him. With good communication at 12, 13, voicing what's happening around him, he makes smart decisions, quick decisions, and execute things really well. And he has a really wide skill range.
So, 79 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock last weekend.
Drop a goal,
mate, off his left peg under serious pressure.
Under serious pressure.
If that's third test, deciding test against the Springboks, that's my only problem with Finn Russell. I think he's an unbelievable rugby player.
Again,
I'm sure he'll prove me wrong throughout the tour.
I think it would also be
struggle with that control.
Yeah, but at the same time, Gats has obviously worked with him before on the last tour. Knows him, knows what he's about. It's not like he's a complete unknown. He knows he's not a complete wild card. He knows he can rely on him, and that he's got outstanding quality. Like you talk about people like Rowan Nogara made that mistake in South Africa to lose a test as well. Like everyone's been there.
Biggest regret in my career.
So yeah, look, there you go. I think absolutely he's got the skill set and he's wonderful to watch. I think 99% of the British and Irish public would rather see him start a test than Owen Farrell or Johnny Sexton, even though they're much more the flavour of player that Gatland would enjoy. But look, he's enjoyable to watch. He brings something different to the game. And I love watching him. He's great.
So is one of the other things that holds him back that his goal kicking isn't as high a percentage as it should be? Because like you're saying, Jamie, it comes down to the last kick in the third test. You're going to go with Farrell rather than Finn Russell to kick a goal.
But Farrell's at 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. Basically, it's all down how Warren Gatland wants to play against the Springboks. I think with South Africa, one, you have to beat them at their own game. Their physicality, their kick to compete, their defensive game. If you can't match that or exceed it, you're in trouble. They're a very, very industrious side who are very well. And often the teams that have been better at what South Africa do than South Africa are the teams that beat them. England failed in that World Cup final just to win collisions. And they only would see one sniff. Chesson Colby for me is probably the best player in world rugby at the minute.
Freak show.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. It depends. It depends how Gats wants to play, and I think he's going to pick players who are really good at the basics of the game. Obviously, defensively strong, win collisions, kick chase game, and have that kind of real tactical, industrious approach. And that's Warren Gatland in a tee. He's always coached sides like that. Yes, there's got to sprinkle a bit of stardust, and that's where I think you'll see your Finn Russells, your Stuart Hoggs, these sorts of players be a part of that, certainly on the plane, if not the test side. But I think the core of that group are going to be well-established, strong international players.
Give us your Welsh contingent that you would take, Jamie, based on current form and knowing Gats.
And you're allowed to pick yourself, because we all would.
I picked myself. Yeah, was it the Roberts at 12?
Captain.
Captain. I think to win with a chance. I look at Wyn Jones as man of the match last weekend. If he continues that form, he'll be in with the shout. Tom Francis as well. Ken Owen, to me, hasn't played for months, and he came into the starting team last week and had a hell of a shift. Obviously, the lineup's struggling a little bit, but to put in 80 minutes after that much time out, it was impressive, and I think we'll see Ken go up another step today, and his performance is huge today. Just looking at the screen now, it's lashing down with snow in Murrayfield. It's going to be an arm wrestle, no doubt. So the set piece is crucial. Which Scott's so excited about that. Alan Wyn Jones has to play well. I think Warren won't pick him unless he performs during the Six Nations.
Why?
Again, he's been out for. Warren doesn't do sentiment, mate. He does not do sentiment.
Not sentiment, but he also understands that he knows how to get the best out of these people that he's worked with for a decade, right? Yeah, so I from an outside, I look at Wales and I'm like, still got class players, 8-9 British Lions on the pitch today, clearly poorly coached. But exact same batch of players with Jamie Roberts 4 or 5 years ago, dominating everyone. And it's not like it's a really old squad. Yes, you got Alan Wynne-Jones a bit older, but like you still got Toby Faletau, Tipperick, Dan Biggar, Gareth Davies, Halfpenny, Liam Williams, like absolute class the whole way through the team. But as a unit, they're not operating. This is the absolute kiss of death. They're going to beat Scotland now. But they're not operating the way they were under Gatland. They don't look together, cohesive and clued up strategically or tactically.
It's about the way they're trying to play. They're trying to play with a bit more width. They're trying to, under Warren Gatland, our game plan was very, how can I put it? It was risk averse. It was probably
pragmatic.
All pragmatic, mate. Great word. It's probably all the things I've noted about South Africa there. It was collisions. It was milk penalties from opposition. It was play with pace, play with power. Look, arguably some of our best ball carriers were behind the scrum, and getting those lads on the ball as much as possible, and a real tight blitz defence under Sean Edwards, and arm wrestle team out of games, pick up the odd couple of tries, and when I reflect, sometimes it wasn't sexy rugby, but it was winning rugby. Those scales have tilted a little bit. I think they've tried to play this attractive brand of rugby, which sometimes at test level doesn't win your games. It's not like club rugby; it's another step up. And Johnny, you know that. At test level, sometimes it's not about the sexy tries. It's about your set pieces, about your defence, winning penalties, applying pressure in different areas of the field. And that's where Wales, I think, over the last 12 months, they're trying to find the right game for their players. Wayne Pivac have been successful at club level, playing a certain way. Whether that way can be successful at international level remains to be seen.
Jamie, I think you're beginning to sound like a coach. Coach, it's going to happen now, Jamie.
I want my weekends back.
That's not going to happen. Now we've given Strathmore were going nuts when you were talking up Xander as a lion, Johnny. But Landwitt, Father, are going to go absolutely bananas when they see this. Look at what has been unearthed, Jamie Roberts. You're going to get. I hope you're going to get a kick out of this. But look at what has arrived at Rugby Bash HQ. Look at that.
Oh, there he is.
Young buck. Look at that.
And look at that. Looks like a set of Adidas World Cup boots as well.
Yeah, we got the Addy World Cups, and I was playing fullback, I think, back then.
That is, and the Webb Ellis Welsh ball, and the guy that's chasing you looks like he's only got one boot on. What's happened to his right boot?
And he looks about 46.
Doesn't matter. You said it's not about the sexy tries. It's not about the sexy tries.
I want the length, I think.
That
look at the touch judge.
The thing is, how old are you there, Jamie? You're 18.
18.
Look at the size of you already. I can remember playing against you, Jamie. I reckon it was probably one of your first games for Cardiff, and you started on the wing. Would that be right?
Yeah, I was on the wing, mate.
Yeah, I remember, and just being like, who is that second row on the wing that can run really fast? Yeah, absolutely. You were a mutant. You were a mutant even then.
Yeah, I was tall. I was tall my frame.
That is a great picture. Right, gentlemen, as we get closer to kickoff, you've got about 2 minutes if you need to disappear, because we're going to hear a word from our sponsors, Glen Turret Whiskey. And that gives you enough time to get comfortable just before we kick off. Teams have gone back in. So I'm going to shut up and we're going to watch this advert from Glen Turret Whiskey. Oh, and
here at Scotland's oldest working distillery, everything we do is underpinned by the three touchstones of the Glenturret Trinity: provenance, prowess, and passion. Our extraordinary provenance is founded upon the long history of this special place, the remarkable endeavours of past generations of owners and distillers, and the unique character of the new make spirit that continues to define the Glenturret today. Our traditional prowess is built upon the skill and expertise that goes into handcrafted whisky making. An unusually slow distillation process, and a resolute commitment to small batch production. Finally, our enduring passion reflects our continuing fascination with the tradition of distilling. Our delight in every step of the whisky-making journey, and our deep desire to bring whisky lovers moments to treasure, in spirit and glass. The Glenturret. By hand and heart since 1763.
Watching that could make somebody thirsty. Johnnie Beattie, how good is that for timing? Just
bang on.
Rocks. That is impressive. I love that. Gents, we're getting closer to kickoff. What's your thoughts on a scoreline, Jamie? What do you reckon? Now that you've seen the teams and had all the gossip from the week, what do you reckon?
Do you know what? I have respect for Scotland. I think they were amazing last week, but I just don't think they're going to be able to reach that level again. Plus, the other factor for me is home advantage. I don't think home advantage counts for anything during this tournament because there's no crowd. And I think if Murrayfield is full today, I'd probably go Scotland. But I think the Welsh, they got lucky last weekend, Wales, with Billy Burns missing that kick of the death. Because they would have scored from that more. Wales had just defended for 16 phases. And I think Wales got out of jail, and I think they know it. And for that reason alone, I think that group is going to go on another level. I'm going to go Wales by 2.
Oh, interesting. Just on a side point, I hope Billy Burns has an absolute stormer today.
Yeah, 100%.
I've been that guy. That's not fun. So I really hope Billy Burns is an absolute stormer. Johnny, what's your thoughts on a prediction other than Andy Nichol's beard is a shocker?
Luckily, I can't see that. I'm watching this on French TV. I've had enough of Andy Nichol. Look, I thought Scotland... this is why everyone should tune in here instead. I thought Scotland last week, they sort of out-fought, out-energised, out-everythinged England, but they struggled still to convert into points. They had that much dominance, but they couldn't convert into points. I think Wales got lucky last week, and I'm hoping that the luck has run out. There's still quality on the pitch, but I don't feel that they're as well organised as they once were. I think Scotland now have got the monkey off their back mentally by beating Wales away for the first time in a very long time last year down in Llanelli. Monkey off their back, beating England at Twickenham for the first time since '83. I think it will be a slightly larger margin of victory, but for Scotland, and I'm going to go 25-16 for Scotland.
Oh, interesting. Now, Jamie had his go at Hamish Watson. What's your thoughts as a fellow back rower? What's your thoughts on Hamish Watson? Because everybody's now talking about him.
Look, he's a machine. He's a machine. I think he works really well in tandem with Jamie Ritchie at Edinburgh and at Scotland. I'm also really glad, we touched on Xander earlier, I'm really glad that Matty Fagerson has come into the side. He's a guy I thought should have hands down, purely on his Glasgow form, been on the plane to 2019 World Cup and missed out. So, look, I'm delighted to see him back as well. But Hamish is just a complete package, an absolute pinball, wrecking ball, whatever you want to call him. For a bloke that isn't physically huge, he is one of the strongest blokes I've ever gymmed with in terms of what he can throw about, squatting, benching, the power that he puts through his body is ridiculous, and he's a machine. Look, he is. We've got a long line of producing some outstanding back rows, back to Calders, to Jeffries, and we're lucky to have him. He's sort of the latest one in a long line of a production factory. So no, absolutely love watching him play. He's a great lad too.
You didn't even mention your old man in that list. I'm surprised.
No, nepotism's dead. Doesn't work, mate.
Jamie, who's your pick for Wales today? Because there's a bit of a change in the guard, but there's still some of the boys who are still there. How important is Alan Wynne, or can you see it somewhere else? Where's the key man for you?
I think it's Liam Williams. I think Gareth Davis at 9 needs a big game. He knows Thomas. Obviously, Thomas Williams got injured last week, and Gareth, there would have been a lot of chatter on Gareth kicking the ball away with 12 seconds to go or something last week. But he'll want a big performance. He knows he's in a battle for that 9 jersey, and he'll want a big performance to settle it. But Liam let himself down a few weeks back, obviously with his discipline at club level, coming in and hitting that ruck with a shoulder charge. And he would have been gutted to miss last week. And he'll want to put in good performance. This Lions year, Liam Williams was one of the standout players on the tour 4 years ago. Especially, and someone just asked a question now about Lewis Rees-Zammit. Jesus, I mean, his finish last week to go from standing to 15 meters. The guy is quick. It's like an Olympic sprinter quick from that pace. So, yeah, definitely quicker than Johnny or I. But the game is going to be an arm wrestle today. It's greasy. It's snowing. It's going to be about kick chase, and I think those two wingers. A ball goes down. Their efforts without the ball are going to be huge, and I can see Liam Williams having a huge game if he brings the energy he can.
What's your thoughts then? Because Scotland are getting excited about Duhan van der Merwe. He's a big lump of a boy, and how hard did George Turner make that try on Saturday? Yeah. Good old hooker.
Mate, he reminds me of a better looking Tim Visser. And I told Tim that he's a better looking Tim Visser. He's a better version of Tim Visser. He's like alpha male Tim Visser, and he's probably strong and he's quick. He's again probably a bolt up for the Lions tour if they're looking for players who are going to match South Africa physically. But he's impressed me at club level as well. I think he's fully deserving of his chance at international level. And he's taken it. Jeez, it takes sometimes 3 footmen to stop the bloke. Only took 1 to stop Tim, and Tim never used to tackle either. Duhan is far stronger in defence.
Nice. And what about Lee Halfpenny? He's a class act, been round the block. He must be really important to that Welsh team.
He's one of the guys, Lee, that a few years ago people probably started questioning his ability to counter-attack. Was he just in the team for his goal kicking? But I think the thing you'll find with Lee, he's very professional. He's very diligent in his preparation. He's a very professional rugby player. Quite softly spoken, but he's very focused. Obviously, we've seen his goal kicking attributes. I don't think there is one player who's defensively as astute as Lee Halfpenny in World Rugby. It's very hard. Finn Russell and Stuart Hogg have a huge job today to try and unlock the backfield because wherever you look, Lee Halfpenny is there. He cleans up everything. Like defensively, he's a very, very strong player. Anyone breaks the line, he's a magnificent one-on-one tackler as well. And that's even without mentioning his goal kicking. I think he's brought far more to his game probably in the latter years of his career than he had earlier in his career. He's been fantastic in his counter-attack. And, goal kicking wise, he's one of the top kickers in World Rugby. So, again, Scotland know any penalties in their own half is 3 points.
Johnny, is that a concern for Scotland when you've got halfers who can kick them from everywhere and Finn is maybe not quite just there?
Yeah, but it's not an unknown. Look, you've known for 10 years, for the best part of a decade that discipline's absolutely key. Every coach worth their salt has said, look, keep discipline under 9-10 10 penalties conceded in a game if you can. Lee Halfpenny's one of the best in the world. We all know that. He's safe as house as well. Didn't even mention under high ball. Safe as houses. So look, you can't give them anyone. You can't give away field position every time you give away a penalty in their half. You let them back into your own. Every time you give away a penalty in your own half, it's 3 points or a chance to get into your red zone. So yeah, discipline's absolutely key. Really boring to talk about. Nobody likes discipline, but there you go. You can't give Lee Halfpenny a chance.
There you go. Here, here's a Strathy old fart, and I bet it's nickel. I'd love to know which Strathy old fart it is. Finn is like all great tens, brilliant off the cuff, but sometimes just leaves you shaking your head. He's not dissimilar, Johnny. You maybe, I don't know, Jason, how well you would know, but he's a lot like Tooney, isn't he? Because Gregor was a 10, he was a 12.
This is what they don't, especially when they had their falling out. They don't understand how similar they both are, both as blokes and as players. A lot of people say, misunderstood, an enigma, all these words that get bandied about. If we've had 2 10s in the past 20 years that get those, that's how they're described. It's Finn and it's Gregor. So that, for me personally, that's what tickled me when they felt, or they had their little falling out. But look, superbly talented, the pair of them, 2 of the best 10s that we've produced. And look, I think Finn also in the back of his mind has to understand how much he's benefited from being coached and sort of brought up. All of his rugby guidance at Glasgow was through Gregor. He essentially taught him how to play 10. And if it wasn't for Gregor, I don't think Finn would be anywhere near where he is right now.
Jamie, would you just be asking for the ball? Just have a crack straight at Finn Russell off this? Would you want the ball early?
Yeah, look, it's going to be somewhere where Wales target. There's no doubt about Finn Russell Lang. They're not the biggest of lads, so Owen Watkin, Nick Tompkins are going to just want to put pressure. George North is a huge loss for Wales.
Yeah.
As a guy who can draw in defenders, get the advantage line ball, not just as a midfielder but as a winger. Wherever he plays in the back line, he's someone who can give serious momentum to the Welsh side, and that's not talking. You're not even mentioning his evasive ability, which we saw last week. So I'm just intrigued where that momentum and punch is going to come from. Owen Watkin, it's a big game for him. He's kind of been there or thereabouts the Welsh squad now for, 3 years, 4 years. He's picked up 20, 30 caps, but hasn't started in big games. Yeah, I mean, he's got quite a lot of caps off the bench.
But mate, I haven't noticed. That's like, so give me a bit more about him, because he's not somebody that has burnt an image into my memory with what he's done in the Welsh shirt. So can you give us a bit more detail about what he brings as an outside centre to? Yeah,
look, he's a big lad. He can play 12 or 13, and he'll want to carry. He's strong defensively. He's got a good rip. You always see him trying to rip the ball in defence. That sort of player. But he had to sit, I guess, patiently behind Hadley Parch, Jonathan Davis during the World Cup campaign. And then, they've moved George to 13 ahead of him. He'll want to put in a big performance today because, as I said, he's been in and around the Welsh camp now for three years. And he needs to take his chance. This is an opportunity for him. Start Six Nations, big game. It's going to be interesting to see how him and Nick Tompkins, work together.
Jamie, you have really upset Tim Visser. The WhatsApp for Rugby Bash, he is not a happy boy. He started off by there's no way. He reckons there's no way Jamie thinks Wales are going to win, and then he's had a go saying it's getting worse. What a rude word that I won't mention because we've hopefully got a family audience. But we've got one very upset plastic Scotsman who's really a Dutchman watching here. So yeah, you've upset somebody in Scotland already, Jamie, and you've not even had to run over the top of them.
Lovely, happy days. Done my job.
What do you reckon to Sheedy coming off the bench? There's been a lot of talk about Sheedy.
Mate, good player, very good. Been instrumental in Bristol's success. That Bristol side is pretty special. I mean, playing behind that pack and the sort of game they want to play. But I guess the question, past Dan Biggar, past Reece Priestland, who is the next incumbent in the 10 jersey? Patchell has been injured a long time. Gareth Anscombe obviously wiped his knee out a year or two back. So who's the next one who's going to grab the jersey? And Sheedy seems to be the next in line. And I guess when he gets his opportunity, he'll want to take it.
There's a lot of faffing around before a kickoff, isn't there? You've warmed up and then you have to stand about and then you have to do...
How far behind? I'm on 25 seconds now. The game's already started.
Yeah, but there's... What's it like having to stand about? You must just want to get going, don't you?
Well, I think especially now with... he's in. I think especially now when there's no crowds, there's absolutely no atmosphere to soak up. You must just want to get out and get on with the game. It must be bizarre. But normally, it's one of the best feelings in the world.
George Turner went well last week, Johnny.
Yeah, he did. And look, he shows up every week for Glasgow. Obviously behind Fraser Brown, impact player off the bench for Glasgow. And when he gets his start, he's good. Dynamic, nails his darts, line-out time, blitzes off the back of the maul breakout plays they have. He's a handful. So, look, I think a lot of people had question marks or were a little bit worried. But his first test, he passed with flying colours. Absolutely wonderful to see. So, look, another big test today going up against Ken Owens, but last week he was superb against Jamie George.
Ken Owens got a bit of a point to prove, Jamie.
Yeah, he's just been out for our first scrum for Wales. Go on, the lads.
That's not good.
Yeah, look, Ken, very experienced player in that Welsh side. He's part of the spine of that team and has been for a long while. He's just been out. He's been out injured for a long time. 2-3 months. And as I said earlier, like impressive performance last week from him off the back of being out for so long to come back at hooker, have the contribution that he did, and play 80 minutes. Jesus, I mean, I think everyone was expecting him to get the older Shepherds at 50 in big hits at the end, and Welsh line out again.
So, mate, that is going to be a key. Like, they were shocking last week. I mean, partly because there was a lot of well-read line-out D by Ireland, but your line-out's normally bread and butter for the Welsh pack, and last week it was diabolical. I want to ask you a bit more about Ken Owens as a bloke. Johnny Barclay, who was down at Llanelli, was like, you've never met a bloke like him. I don't know if this is true or not, but he's like, not really one for hanging around the boys. He loves hanging around like the people in suits, the Blazers, the old boys. He's basically he's a 75-year-old trapped in a 35-year-old man's body.
he's always networking, mate. He's that sort of bloke. But they're saying that, like most West Walians, give him 5 pints, mate. They're top off, tie around the head. That's the thing together.
Oh, lads. Again, me talking about discipline before the game.
Passionate Scarlets player, fluent Welsh speaker. They call him the Sheriff down West Wales.
The Sheriff.
Yes.
A question from Rich.
Go for 6 here.
Down the bottom, who do you think is going to win the battle of the forwards from Rich? So I obviously plumped for Scotland before the game based on the Welsh line-out last week, but we've conceded a scrum penalty already. We've turned over one Welsh line-out. I think it's going to be a real battle. Like Cummings and Johnny Gray got a massive amount to do at line-out time. If we can put pressure on them at line-out time, it's an area that did creak last week, so I'm hoping that we might just tip it in the forward pack.
Much homework did you do with the referee? How important is it to know what the ref's going to blow for?
That was one of those areas that our analysts would come in and give us a presentation before every international. And you just thought, well, just don't do anything wrong and he won't give any penalty. Like, who cares if he gives it for not rolling away? Like, if you roll away, he's not going to give it. So, but like, it goes into so much goes into analysis now of referees yeah, so much goes into it. I'm not sure if he did that at Wales and the Lions, Jamie, but at Scotland it was something they did pretty much before every test. How good's Tipper?
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? Feet like a back.
Feet and hands like a back.
Yeah, we do lots of analysis on the ref. It's just looking for trends, isn't it? How often they blow for not rolling away, the usual time at the contact area, preferences towards decisions. It's mainly how they ref the scrum and contact area, isn't it? Not too much as backs. We don't look too much as backs, but certainly for scrum and contact area, the big thing with referees.
How have you found playing without a crowd, Jamie?
Yeah, so weird, mate. So weird. This is interesting. Wales just keep the ball kind of worn-out rugby, just hoping for Scotland not to give away a penalty. This is where Test Rugby's won and lost. If just giving away penalties.
Horribly.
I think as a team, it should be probably the biggest thing you measure yourselves on as a team. How many penalties do you give away? it breaks me when players, don't roll away from the tackle area or stuff like that. Just really dull stuff.
But that's Scotland already at 3 and 5 minutes. And the weird thing that goes along with it, look, it's 3 and 5 minutes, it's early start of the game and it's fractious start. But like once you get 3 and 5 minutes, which turns into 10 and a half, it translates into yellow cards. And that's where you got all these knock-on effects that you're just putting pressure on yourself. So look, it's a dull one to give away in a pot shot for 3 points at goal. But look, Wales haven't done anything spectacular to get into that area of the field. Just simple thing and held onto the ball.
Do you give players a hard time? If somebody does something, do you give them a hard time, or is it pat on the back and next job?
Depends what the penalty is, mate.
And who it is. The worst thing is when you've got your hothead idiot who thinks they know it all and they give away 5 a game, and she's like, mate, would you please stop giving away penalties?
Who was that? Jim Hamilton, mate.
Jim, mate, so honestly, Jim, absolute shocker. Jim Hamilton, we would have won in South Africa in I think it was 2013, year of the Lions tour. So we'd had letters out for Lions. Jim thought he was going the Lions tour, but then didn't go, which was hilarious. He told everyone before we went on tour to South Africa that he was going on the Lions tour and not coming with us to South Africa, and then he didn't get picked. It was hilarious. But ultimately, we got to 65 minutes in Nelspruit against, Khaleesi and Etzebeth and first choice team. One of the best performances we've ever had away from home, absolutely smashing them. Jim gives away idiot penalty, 65 minutes, then pushes Etzebeth in the face, gets a yellow card, and we have to play the last 10 minutes with 40 men and we lose the game. Really stupid stuff, but he won't remember that. But that's one of those things. I was like, mate, if we just kept him on the field, we'd have won the game. Simple.
Oh, that's crazy, isn't it? The consequences sometimes are brutal.
Oh, there we go. A question from James FG. What's the best ref banter you've had personally, and which ref has the best banter?
I had a good one on the pitch. Not that it was me captain at the time. It was Glasgow against Munster. And there was a big scrap, and they called in the 2 captains. It was Ronan O'Gara and Al Kellick at the time, and the ref gave them a dressing down. It was like, look, you're both respected players. Go and speak to your team. And Ronan O'Gara was just like, I don't even know who the hell he is. He's not well respected or known. I've got no idea. And Al Kellick was raging. But us as a Glasgow pack behind, absolutely, we found it hilarious.
Did you get much chat with a referee, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, Nigel Owens was always great. And, one of the best refs, obviously, in the world. I'd probably pick him because he's Welsh as well. But, Nigel was always witty. Anything you'd try and back chat, he'd come back here, either in Welsh or English. He was always very quick. And then the other ref I found interesting. Who's the guy who used to check himself out? He's retired now, dark hair, lovely black hair. He's Australian or
Kiwi.
Oh,
Kiwi. I know the one you mean. Nice side.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve Walsh. Yeah, there you go.
I remember playing in some games, mate, and every time there was a stoppage in play, he'd be checking himself out, on the big screen.
On the big screen.
He's so funny. He'd be like this.
On referees, really, really cool to see Mikey Adamson, my old teammate from Glasgow Warriors, first Scot to referee a Six Nations game in 20 years as well. It's been a good year for Scotland so far. But no, great to see a Scottish ref taking charge of a Six Nations game for the first time in a long time.
He's been knocking at the door for a while, but it's good to see.
Oh, no. Oh.
You got Duhan, good-looking Visser.
He's going to absolutely hate that.
Sexy Visser. I'm going to call him Sexy Visser. We also call Dimitri Sarzeski. I played with him. We used to call him Sexy Hips, sexy version of Richard Hibbard. His nickname was Sexy Hibbard. Mate, you loved it.
Sexy Hibbard.
Sexy Hibbard.
Awesome.
He did look like he should have been on the front cover of Mills and Boone novel.
Oh, mate, delicious player.
Sumptuous looking man as well. Wonderful.
Right.
Speaking of the French, how good was Dupont last week?
Every week.
Even Aaron Smith's come out and said he's the best in the world.
Mate, he's a freak show. So, like, he came through the Cast Academy when I was there. But he basically rocked up as an 18-year-old, physically exactly as he is now. Like, doesn't gym, doesn't train. He is the way he is. An absolute freak show of a man. And, like, could obviously fend people off. Say again?
Lovely cheekbones.
Strong. Looks like a mini Hulk.
Yeah,
but like was the way he was, aged 18. Came in, basically could take the piss in training, step, fend, bump people off. Hilarious sense of humor, really, really good bloke as well. And since then, he's just like added layers, like his decision making, his kicking. He's just gone next level. He's a joy to watch.
Jamie, how good's your French? Because Johnny hosts a podcast in French. How good's your French?
Oh, pas mal. Je parle un peu français. J'apprends quand je jouais avec Racing pour 2 années. It's all right. It's pigeon French, I like to call it.
Perfect, mate. It works. Mate, how did you enjoy Pierre Berbizier as your coach?
No, he wasn't the coach. So he left the year before I arrived. And I had the 2 Laurents from Cast.
Oh, they're quite good.
Oh, good kick.
Oh, lads.
Blade Thompson is real groggy, yeah? What's happened to him?
Jesus. I mean, how is that not a maul?
Because he got his knees on the floor, mate.
No, he didn't, mate. He didn't. Do you know what I love about the 2 Laurents? I found this quite an interesting stat. Not stat, but topic of conversation. There's a Laurent Travers and Laurent Labitte, which when you translate Travers and Labitte, it means wonky. Obviously, there are kids on the call. Travers is like wonky, and Labitte is
Your Willy.
Yeah, you're Willy.
Wonky Willy. Willy Wonka.
Exactly. Too long. Travers, Labitte. But they were good. They were good guys, man. And obviously, I moved to Racing, O'Gara.
Danny Lydiot, was he there with you?
Yeah. Hamish Watson, man. Freak. Strong, isn't he?
Mate. Strong as an oak. I think he's only like 5'9" as well. But honestly, you gym with him, he's a freak show.
He's a big man.
Absolute mutant.
How long did it take to make the decision to go to France, both of you? When you start looking at that and the agent calls and says, we've got interest from them, how long does that decision take you?
Well, I think it was slightly different for Jamie and I. I think when they offered Jamie that many zeros, it was really easy. It didn't take long at all. I just went for the love of wine and French culture and people. Big Francophile, so it was really different for me. Hey, Jamie.
Mate, you know what? At the time, it was a very difficult decision. But it was perfect timing for me because I stayed in Cardiff to graduate. I'd signed a 4-year deal. I kind of planned my last 4 years in uni over 4 years, signed a 4-year contract. And in 2013, I knew I was graduating from med school. And funnily enough, after the Grand Slam in 2012 with Wales, Racing started showing a bit of interest. They were like, we want to sign Jamie after his current contract. And, there I was 26. I'd grown up in Cardiff. I'd been in the city. I was just graduating. They offered me an awesome deal, 3 years, to live in Paris, a single guy. And it had all the ingredients. I was like, well, I'd be an absolute fool if I didn't do it. And I was quite nervous at the time trying to do it. It turns out it was one of the best things I ever did in my life. It was amazing. It changed me as a person. It was an awesome experience. And it was awesome that Jackie Lorenzetti, the president, actually flew on his private jet on my birthday to Cardiff Airport and signed my deal.
That's cool.
Did you must have been with Zach Mercer at Bath, Jamie?
Zach's going to Montpellier, isn't he?
So
that's
Zach,
a terrible move.
The office I'm sitting in at the moment, Zach went to the school I'm working in just now. We had a Zoom call with him and Fraser Brown last week, and I asked him a similar question: what made the decision for going to France? And Fraser Brown on the other screen was nearly in tears, laughing, because a bit like Johnny, he reckoned it was the number of zeros on the end of the contract.
Look, I think, but you know what? I think that Zach Mercer making that mistake and tying himself to England strangely will have helped Scotland lure Cameron Redpath. Because clearly as a teammate, you see, look, Zach's made that choice. I think he got 1 or 2 caps for England, nailed his colour, and then never seen again, not going to get another game. So, look, I think Cam will have seen that at Bath, seen that happen to his teammate, and think, well, I'm not going to make the stupid choice and go with Eddie Jones. I'm going to play for the country I actually want to play for, that my old boy played for, and I could actually have a decent, long international career.
I think his old boy was the happiest person in the world with that decision.
You're quite right. Used to love watching his old, like one of my favourite players growing up as well. Absolutely, I loved watching Brush as a 9 for Scotland.
Class, absolute class.
Like, how strong is Watson to not just get melted there? Like,
tell you what, Harris has had 2 or 3 fairly decent touches already.
Player, man.
What do you make of Chris Harris, Jamie? Like, obviously, I think people.
I played against him quite a lot when he was younger. He's quite lightweight, but quite quick, wiry. He looks far more punchy now, doesn't he? More powerful.
I think, like, obviously, he's known for his he's really strong defensively. I like watching his defensive play. Makes good reads, dominant tackler, especially out in those edge positions. But he seems to be showing up a bit more attack-wise, like decent with his ball in hands, dynamic, goes forward. Here we go, some field position.
But there's another Gregor bit that he kept picking a 13 who was better known for his defence.
Yeah, but it's the hardest position to defend on the field. Unless you listen to Jamie, who'll say it's 12. But but it's a hard position to defend, isn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, it is. It is. You're kind of exposed, depending on what your wingers do and stuff. But no, I think Chris Harris, for me, is straight off his feet. Chris Harris, for me, you know, as I said, I played against him quite a bit. He was at Newcastle. I would have played against him a few times. He's quick. He's quick. He reminds me a bit of Conrad Smith, sort of dap.
Sneaky.
Just he's quick and elusive, deceptively powerful. He looks that sort of player, you know, strong handoff. That was like an old school line out there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Tell you what, though, how good is Justin Tipuric at line out, like defensive line out time? He's so light that you give him a couple of decent boosters. He's good at reading, good at timing. He's horrible to call a line out against.
Yeah, I can imagine. This guy's good.
Darcy.
Yeah. He's like young, isn't he?
Boomf. Go on, Finn. Go on, big fella.
Giraffe. Great kick.
Oh my, how has he read that? How has he read that? Ali Price, take a bow.
Do you think he's in front?
Possibly. I think they'll bring it back and look TMO, but how's he read that?
Ali Price is about the only player that none of us have mentioned so far.
Mate, do you know what?
Potentially off his wrong foot, because he's left-footed as well, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's left-footed.
Beat Wales last year in Llanelli for the first time in the Six Nations away from home, and I don't know, God knows how long. I think he might be in front here. Well, what a kick. It's flat.
I'm not sure he is, mate. That looks level. Oh, wrong angle, though, but...
Dupont's little kick last week was an absolute peach for the French score.
But the difference with Dupont is that was read off the back of a mall breakout play where you could.
Yeah.
They've pre-called that, or that's been done through analysis. That's Ali Price reading that with Darcy Graham and sticking that through off his wrong foot. That's next level.
Yeah,
so has Darcy called that?
No, he's run a line. He's run a line to carry, but he hasn't called.
That is ridiculous. So good.
Oh, Andrew from Anik. Lads, where is the offside line these days? Totally confused by this.
We all are. It's like scrums, mate. We all are.
You know what? And I hate touch judges who bottle it. And you can see touch judges are in line and players are a metre or two offside and they don't call it in. And the thing is, the game will get ruined if every offside will get called. But they have to set a standard where players it breaks me. It absolutely breaks me. Because you see teams so offside and it never gets called.
But I didn't even really think that they checked that properly. Not that I'm complaining, but...
They must have, mate. In the truck, they were...
Oof.
Hail Mary, Rugby League.
I'm not massively upset because Darcy's in my fantasy league team. Alan Wynne-Jones get feisty, Jamie, when you're behind the posts, or?
No, I'm nice and relaxed. If it's minute 70, maybe. Good kick.
There's a question in, Jamie, which is probably for you. Is Alan Wynne deliberately feisty in training, and who kicks off the most? He had a bit of shiner last week, didn't he? Was it Jake Ball?
Yeah, I think so. Good. I'll tell you what, Scotland's contact area for me has been so impressive.
So much cleaner, eh?
Cleaner, yeah, mate. Their contact area is obviously something they've worked on massively.
But also they know, Gregor loves everything is around speed at ruck time, speed away, not allowing defensive lines to set. But I think part of that comes down to the few different players as well. Look, they're really good in their units of three and how they clean and recycle very quickly, especially coming off the touchline. But it's more dynamic when you have a Van der Merwe or you have a Matt Fagerson coming in. I think they just add a little bit more spice and a bit more fight, and it just speeds everything up. It's much, much cleaner to watch.
Yeah. Speed of ball, punch, carry, bang, real quick, clean, isn't it? Ball away.
Yeah.
So back on the previous question, I mean, Alan Wynne was quite feisty. I think as a skipper, he'd know when he'd want to ramp it up, and sometimes he'd chuck himself out there. Just a couple of fisticuffs in training in a test week. Always important.
My. See, weirdly, right, Jamie, even from that kind of situation, okay, I'll take my words back in a second, but in years past, that's a bad kick to exit, but it was something that was so good and so dominant about Wales. But I even feel when they're kicking the ball away, they don't look in control. Before it was a kick to control, to press and squeeze and to turn over or to put pressure on opposition, whereas I feel like Wales recently, I'm not sure it's changing strategy, but they don't look as effective in their kick chase.
Yeah. They're kicking long and on. And that's an obvious tactic. It's an edgy game, isn't it? You just feel it could open up.
What would you say so far, lads? Would you say 10-3 is a fair reflection?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to, Wales will want to stay in the arm wrestle. Just try and take the chances. They need to score points, obviously. It's cliche when they're down in opposition 22, but I just see Scotland just have the ability to probably create a bit more at the minute. Finn and Ali Price pulling the strings. Talking about Ali Price, he was mightily impressive. As I said, down in Llanelli when Scotland won down there last year. Did he come on for the last 20? Did he start? I just remember thinking he was really, really impressive. I think he might have played the whole game. But anyway, the last quarter of an hour, just pinging the corners for fun. Just really, really sharp kicking game. And I guess we've seen that already in the opening 20 minutes. How we can just look up. Classic Faf de Klerk looks up at every ruck, doesn't he? You see him trying to see where the space is, and has the kicking ability to put the ball there.
He loves playing with his mate, Johnny, though, doesn't he? He loves playing with Finn.
Yeah, and there was a bit of chat as well that potentially he was heading to Racing. It would have been dangerous for Paris as well, having to clear them. But look, they're good mates. They get on like a house on fire. They're thick as thieves. And look, I think sort of led each other astray a little bit at Glasgow, shall we say. But look, they have fun, but then they back it up each weekend. They were phenomenal for Glasgow. Would have been cool to see another Scot out in France if Ali had made the move over to Racing, but wasn't. Hamish Watson was also mentioned to potentially be moving over, but it didn't happen. But look, no, I think they love being together, playing together. They operate really well together as well. I think they had a really good relationship with little Greek Laidlaw before, but Ali's really stepped up. Much more game time, much more experience, and executes at a fairly high level. Oh! Right, so Jamie, this is a classic. Classic. But this is something that we saw every single. Like, if you're a Glasgow Warriors fan, you've seen this play with Gregor 100 times.
Well, the wraparound back to 10.
Yeah, wraparound back to 10, but also it's getting Hoggy on the ball in that wide channel, getting the winger up in the line, and then threading the ball behind to creating havoc, creating a 50-50 and something happening. They did this pretty much every second, third week. They would run this play at Glasgow. Hoggy out that wide ball, grubber kick. As soon as Halfpenny's up in the line, grubber kick in behind, it's a 50-50 madness and something happens. Either you've got a starter play on the halfway that ends up with a line out or something around 10 metres, 15 metres because you panic and kick the ball out, or you retain the ball in a 5-metre channel. Such a good play. So smart.
I thought the disappointing thing for Wales there is they were so passive in the wider channel. I know the scrum was probably only, the scrum was in Wales's 40-metre. I probably want to see us being a bit more aggressive there, especially open winger. I think Liam Williams, just hold off on Hoggy. Jesus, I mean, if there's any player you don't want to hold off on in World Rugby, it's probably him in those wider channels. Like,
I think if you look at the lessons of the World Cup, so if you take that game, if you take Ireland, Scotland, and how Ireland defended against Hoggy, so basically spot blitzing Hoggy and forgetting what was outside them. Yeah. That's your best way of defending. Getting him man and ball every time. Well, you give him time and space.
Or back inside.
Yeah. All right, Jamie, what do you reckon? 17-3, 25 minutes. Wales haven't fired a shot yet.
Well,
turnover and back into it now, a bit of field position.
Nothing breaks me more, mate. I feel for Scotland there. Like, you score a try, catch a kick off, and mess up your exit. Like,
mate, you don't care that Scotland have messed up their exit. Who are you kidding?
No, I'm just saying, if the shoe was on the other foot, nothing to disappoint me more. And nothing pleases me more that Wales have this chance now. You just think, the number 8, carry the ball, set up a ruck, ball off the park, come at us from halfway. Now that, scrum, 3/4 field in Scotland's 22. Like, Wales should score here. This is very tough to defend from here.
So Gregor used to also, at Glasgow, it used to be your conversion of your try wasn't actually the conversion. It was your completion of your exit strategy afterwards. And there, obviously, that's completely faltered. Oh, jeez.
Scotland got a couple of cheap ones from England last week. Johnny May guddled a couple. Is it nice to get a little free one like that, Jamie?
A free what now?
Just when they make a cock up like that.
Yeah. I mean, what do we think of this scrum, lads? I mean,
look, for me, Wyn Jones is in there about 90 degrees, and I don't know anything about scrummaging, but he's under some serious pressure, and he's folded like a deck of cards. So,
well, you know more about it than me, mate. So,
look, I don't know anything about front row, but like clearly everybody cheats like hell in that area. But he's been folded completely in at the side by Xander Fagerson. So great scrum for Scotland. But another opportunity for Wales to get some field position. They were in the 22 and it's been coughed up by another scrum. That's 2 now, scrum penalties. So big boy that we talked about before, Xander Fagerson, exerting some decent pressure on Wyn Jones at scrum time.
Ooh. The Fagerson boys.
You see as well, Jamie, how we talked about spot blitzing on wide channels. You see Chris Harris. You see Chris Harris comes up like out the blocks constantly outside James Lang and just cuts off that. Like you can't get the ball out wide effectively outside him.
Yeah. Good kick.
Does Toby Faletau say very much, Jamie?
No. Hoggy.
Go Hoggy. Mate, this game is mayhem.
Oh, I thought it was away. The camel.
Absolute mayhem.
So who does this suit better? Who does mayhem suit better?
Stuart Hogg.
Stuart Hogg.
Jesus. I mean, the guy's got some feet. I remember playing against Scotland. God, it would have been 20... I want to say 2014. What year are we? We're odd year, so Wales away. Yeah, so we played Scotland at home on even years. I think it was 2014. And Hoggy came off the bench to win. I think he won his first cap or his second or third cap. Wales away. It might be it wasn't the one he got a red card.
No,
it was the 2 years before that.
That wasn't fun either.
Yeah, I think Hoggy red card was 2016, 2014. I think he played. He came off the bench, and I remember, we were kick long and on. Minute 60, a bit tired. Myself and John Davis. Herring after the ball, and Stuart Hogg's got this ball, and literally just made us both look like complete idiots. Like bang, bang. Just embarrassing, yeah. Watching it back on video, going, "Who the f is this guy?" Like proper unknown, and just made us look completely stupid.
Would he be your Lions 15? Is he?
Well, I've heard his name chucked about as Lions skipper. I don't know what you think, Johnny. When you talk about a player who's more or less guaranteed to start, I think he has to start, doesn't he? His place in the test team is more or less assured, I think.
Yeah, he does. But you also know, as I do, like you've toured with him to Australia. Oh, mate, Wales. I honestly cannot grasp how easily you now cough up the ball in multi-phase. Like before, it was impossible to get the ball from you, and now it looks like everything is sort of.
Yeah, it was just contact.
It's ad-libbed. It's not really thought through. You talk about Warren ball, but it was impossible to get the ball back from you, or you're under pressure. Now I feel like I don't really understand how Wales are trying to play. Neither do the players, and it shows.
Yeah,
because you're turning over like unforced errors with no pressure. It's incredible to see a Welsh team cough it up as much.
Oh, it's frustrating, mate. Get Roberts in there.
Exactly. Yeah, Captain Roberts. Get Captain Roberts back in.
No question. Absolutely no question.
So would you have a captain from full back for a Lions tour?
No, I don't think Warren never liked picking a back as captain. He's always picked forwards. But I think just as a player, he's going to be a massive part of that leadership group on that Lions tour, Hoggy. And when I think of players whose places are assured in the test side. Good kick.
Oh, it's penalty, ref.
That is a penalty.
Yeah, we'll take that. There you go, chaos, lads.
I don't think Halfpenny could do anything about that. Darcy Graham has just jumped really late.
Surely Darcy Graham is better than Cheslin Colby. You got to be.
Yeah, Halfpenny's just taking a hit to the face.
Yeah.
Should be a penalty against Darcy Graham. That's the looks sore. Is there any part of you that's looking forward to finishing playing, Jamie?
Yes, I know, but I'm addicted to the pain, man. I'm addicted to that buzz on a Sunday morning, getting up and just feeling completely spent. Like, I love that. That's why I keep playing, I guess. I love
it. It is so nice not being sore anymore.
Really?
I can't tell you the difference. Also, just like head knocks, not getting any more concussions, not having to worry about that aspect.
Unless you drink a bit too much on a Saturday night and get punched in town.
By the missus on the way back up the stairs after this.
I do. A little part of me longs for it, just a bit more peace and look after the body. But I do still enjoy emptying my body, collisions, and the way it feels. Like I quite enjoy that. But ask me again in 6 months, mate, I'm going to tell you something different.
After the Lions tour.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Jamie, I've got a message from Visser. Tell Jamie I'm sending him my commiserations already.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, do you know, there's a great story of this. And it pains me to tell this story. Pains me to tell it.
I'm looking forward to this now. It's going to pain Vis. This is going to be brilliant.
I love this. Oh, it's going to break me. So, I had my first cap against Scotland, right? And I never lost to Scotland in my career, ever, when I started. I started every game against Scotland for 9 years, up till 2016. And then 2017...
They should get you back in just for that stat alone.
Exactly. 2017, I found myself on the bench for that campaign in Six Nations. Had a shocker of a game against Australia in November 2016, so I got dropped from the world side. So the 17 campaign, I spent on the bench, right? Anyway, so before Wales-Scotland, I was on the bench. Me and Vis got a coffee day before the game on George Street, just off George Street, isn't it? Princess Street. Yep. Princess Street. That's George Street, one back, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just off there, we grabbed the coffee, popped into the town. And obviously, we played together at Quins at the time, so it's good to catch up with him. And yeah, so here I was boasting about this stat. I was like, mate, there is no way like Wales are going to lose to Scotland. Like every time I've played for 9 years, won against them, and fair play to him. He scores a try in a Scottish victory the next day, and it was like one of those humble pie moments that usually belong to Tim Visser, but the shoes on the other foot.
I bet you paid for the coffee.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, Johnny, there's a question mark over what you're supping. I'm surprised there's a question mark. One of the reasons he moved to France.
Château Ludemain-la-Côte de Bordeaux. A lovely little tipple.
A lovely little tipple. Did you develop the taste in France, or did you always have the taste?
No, probably developed it here, actually. Just have a completely different attitude to drinking when you compare it to Cardiff after international or Edinburgh. Like, French people come over and they travel for the Six Nations and they see the carnage that is Dublin, or they can't believe it. They just have a completely different attitude to alcohol. It's way more relaxed, way less binge drinky, which has probably been good for long-term health, as Dr. Roberts will probably tell me as well. But no, absolutely love it. Now getting into all different regions, all that kind of boring stuff, but love it. A bit of wine tasting in French. No, I love it. It's great fun.
Very, very refined individual, Mr. Beattie, as we would have no doubts.
Don't get me wrong, I'd also really enjoy an Iron Brew right now, but we don't get them out here. Oh, no.
That's a silly penalty from Scotland.
Yeah, it's dull.
The last thing you want to do there is give away a penalty. Like, what a waste.
Mate, but what about Wales? I mean, I'm sorry, Jamie. Jamie, I know you can't. Oh, you're going to say yes. You'll say yes this because if you change the coach, you'd be a better chance of you playing. But should Wales change their coach? Like, based on what we see, the product, and traditionally what I think you've been spoiled in Wales with the coaches that you've had and the standards of play that you've had. But
yeah, I think ask me after the Six Nations, mate. It's a big tournament, this, like, for Wayne Pivac. He knows that after the disappointment of last year. So, ask me after the Six Nations.
Tracy's got a question for you, Jamie. What does he say at half-time? Can Wales come back from this?
Oh, see, another penalty, Scotland. Well, it's just daft.
Gary Graham.
You reckon Wales by a couple of points, Jamie, so there's still that chance.
Good shot. They'll hope it only costs them 3. Scotland would be happy if Wales go for 3 here, but if I was Wales here, I'd roll the dice. You've got to go for 7, I think.
Right, so Jamie, going back to what you said, though, you never lost a game to Scotland. And when I played against Wales, I always felt that we were under pressure or we were soaking pressure. Yeah. And there was a chance. But in this game, complete flip reversal. It's only the first half. Things could change. But Scotland look really comfortable. And Wales look under pressure or unprepared or non-organised. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, completely agree with you. Yep. Completely agree with you. This is a massive moment in the game, this.
Especially before half-time, just to get something.
Yeah.
So does this change the half-time chat if they come away with this?
Yeah, it changes everything, mate. Everything about the game. If Wales convert here, I think...
It goes back to the difference of 1 score. If they get to 17-10... Oh. Get under the post, mate. Just shows as well what we were talking about before. How stupid, dull penalties can...
mate, awful penalties from Scotland. You had a maul on Wales'
a maul breakout, and then the second one's come from a first phase launch play, and you've tackled somebody around the head. Just dull. Yeah. Stupid ways to let Wales back into the game when they weren't going anywhere at all. Great step, though. What do you make of him, Jamie?
He's quick, mate.
Apart from that, that's all everyone says. He's quick. Obviously, he's quick. He's rapid. But
he's a winger. Put him in space, man. Look, man, he's been performing really, really well in the Premiership. And the Premiership is a really competitive competition. So, if you can shine in that league, which he has been doing for, a couple of years now, he deserves a shot. And, he's a long-term custodian of that jersey, I think, for Wales.
It must be great playing alongside Halfpenny and Williams for him as well.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. Chuck George into that equation as well.
What would your makeup be? Would you have George North back out on a wing, or would you have him in at 13?
I think George is best on a wing, personally.
Same.
The challenge with George is trying to get him into the game as much as possible. Because you want him on the ball as much as possible. And, I'd argue you'd probably do that more off the wing than you can in the midfield. Especially if you're devising plays and devising, the way you play the game to try and get him into the game as much as possible. I think what we saw from Wales in the autumn is they could not get their best ball carriers into the game. We talk Falatau, North, Tipuric, these guys who were good with ball in hands, but just weren't getting it. And when they were getting it, they were, in front of 5 blokes on their own.
But what was horrible about playing against you? So, for instance, having you at 12 and having George at 13, having George at 11, either inside a 10 from a starter player, from a strike, it was daunting. You're like, how are you going to stop momentum? That you knew that if the ball went to you or went different option to George North, you'd lost momentum. You probably lost gain line and you were on the back foot. I think that's one element where Wales again are found lacking, is that they don't have strike runners really from first phase to get them over the gain line.
Yeah, that's the thing. That years into Gats, arguably our best ball carriers are on our backs. Whether that was George, Alex Cuthbert, John Davis, myself. It's a different complexity then, isn't it? You certainly off strike plays, like try defending all four of those at the same time. It's very
impossible.
Without conceding half a meter. It's tough. Yeah. So that's the challenge. I think is Wayne Pivac more than anyone knows that's the challenge. Stephen Jones, attack coach, try and get your best ball carriers on the ball as much as possible. Wales, if Wales didn't score at the end there, I would have said Scotland to win easily. But I think that try just sniff.
Yeah, going to make it tougher. Gents, there's a question in that I'm going to give you some time to stew on. The question is, we need to pick our 1 to 15 from these two starting teams. So Harry Lynch, so you're going to get 10 seconds each. Who's loose head? We'll start at loose head. We'll work our way at 15. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time for that.
No, let's just go our whole way through. Go 1, and then we can choose.
Right, so I'm going to give it because we need to hear from our sponsors. So we're going to do that, and then we'll come back to it. So we're coming back to that question from Harry after we've heard from Glenn Turrett, and then we'll do our halftime, and we'll talk more about player of the match and getting your photos in. We'll have a little look at some of your photos. So for now, you've got a couple of minutes to choose your Scotland-Wales select. And now, Glenn Turrett whiskey.
Here, at Scotland's oldest working distillery, everything we do is underpinned by the 3 touchstones of the Glen Turret Trinity: provenance, prowess, and passion. Our extraordinary provenance is founded upon the long history of this special place, the remarkable endeavours of past generations of owners and distillers, and the unique character of the new make spirit that continues to define the Glen Turret today. Our traditional prowess is built upon the skill and expertise that goes into handcrafted whisky making. An unusually slow distillation process, and a resolute commitment to small batch production. Finally, our enduring passion reflects our continuing fascination with the tradition of distilling. Our delight in every step of the whisky-making journey, and our deep desire to bring whisky lovers moments to treasure, in spirit and glass. The Glen Turret. By hand and heart since 1763.
Awesome. We're back in the room. Thank you, Glenn Turrett. And we are looking at Scotland in the lead at half-time. Johnnie Beattie is slightly happier, but Jamie's got his dander up with a try just before half-time. So, gentlemen, let's go for it. Who's our loose head?
Rory Sutherland.
Rory Sutherland, you reckon? Jamie?
Wyn Jones, I'm away last week.
Man of the match last week. That's a big call. You reckon Suz is a lion though? Johnny?
I reckon they both get chances. Like obviously, I think you've got Mako Vunipola, Cian. You've got loads of decent clients. You've got Cian Healy. You've got Mako Vunipola. You've got Joe Marler if he decides that he fancies a tour. Look, you got loads of strength and depth at Loosehead, but Suz and Wyn Jones are two boys that have been fantastic over the past 6, 7, 8 months. So yeah, both top class.
Hooker, Ken Owens a stick on?
Yeah, I think so. Well, Scotland's first 2 choices hookers are injured, aren't they?
Yeah.
So Stu McAnally and Fraz Brown, who are both outstanding as well. Look, if you're thinking wider piece and British Lions, Ken Owens, your obvious. If you're thinking form and what happened last week, George Turner and the way he played versus Ken Owens and the way his lineouts went. So look, if you're thinking Lions, you're picking Lions out of who's going to be in a. You're thinking Ken Owens. He gets my nod.
Tight head. Is this just going to be a Scotland Wales team?
Mate, I'm a big fan of. I know, obviously, know our mates better, but I'm a big fan of Xander. You look at the pressure he's exerting on Wyn Jones, 2 scrum penalties in that first half as well, and a decent stint against England last week against some hefty opposition. He's not doing his chances any harm.
Xander, Strathmore boys, Strathmore are all watching. They're cheering him on.
I'd agree. Like if we're picking on form and what they're doing the last few games, Franny again is playing well, but Xander's been impressive.
Second row, what combination would you go for?
Mate,
I think Johnny Gray.
Cummings or Beard? Cummings or Beard?
Cummings.
He's been immense recently. He's been so good for Glasgow.
And a boy probably you won't know too much about, Jamie, but like so Richie Gray, who British Lion, Test Lion as well, who's worked his way back to fitness, is on the bench. But Scotty's been outstanding. And Johnny Gray was phenomenal last week. So I would go, the tough one's the tight head lot, who to choose, but your loose head out, the Adam and Scotty Cummings, it's Cummings for me.
Alan win every time for you, Jamie.
Yeah, look, I know 4 and 5. Are they interchangeable or not?
Do whatever you want, mate.
Johnny Gray for me.
There you go. Yeah, that would be pretty formidable. Blindside Blades obviously going off, so maybe a bit tougher.
Look, I looked at it a different way. I said if I was going to mash up the back row, I would probably have a mix of Hamish Watson, Toby Faletau, and Tipperick. Yeah, I would take those 3 boys as my starters, and I'd probably bring Matty Fagerson off the bench.
That's a scary 6, 7, and 8.
Outstanding, eh?
That is a scary 6, 7, and 8. Scrum half, I think Ali Price. You sound like an Ali Price fan, Jamie.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. I think on form, he has to get. You know, Gareth is playing well, but Ali Price has been impressive. Seeing that kick, that try was awesome. Mate, he's a good player, Ali Price. I rate him
10. Finn or bigger?
Finn on form, I think.
Finn on form. Let's go wingers. So we got Liam Williams and Rhys Zammit against Sexy Visser and Darcy.
Liam hasn't played. He didn't play last week.
He's phenomenal.
I think we're going to go Sexy Visser and Rhys Zammit for me.
Yeah, I changed up. I said that I would take Sexy Vis and Liam Williams as my wingers. So Sexy Vis and Liam Williams as my wingers, and I would take Hoggy as my fullback.
Fullback, Jamie, your mate.
Hoggy on form.
Hoggy on form. There's a decent mixture in there. I think Wales are struggling a little bit. Tim Visser's just sent me a message
saying hashtag Sexy Vis.
Sexy Vis ? Sean from Fill Your Boots that's pushing the buttons is got the hashtag Sexy Vis. There's some pictures in from people who are watching along with us, the Rugby Bash legends in the living room. So let's see what people are doing at home. You can see us. Jamie's got the wall of shame up there. Johnny's got his professional setup. Oh, lovely. Look at that. Tell you what, that's a lot of books.
That's a nice living room, that.
That's
done well. Nice setup.
Look at that, and look at that floor. They've done a brilliant job on that floor. I wonder if they got somebody in or if they did that themselves. That is quality.
That's a well-educated living room, that, isn't it?
Yeah, they've definitely got money. They've got somebody to do that in. They haven't done that themselves. No chance.
Nice. What have we got next? Oh, yes. Oh, look, Jamie, cheers for that. Heineken.
Lovely. Vizsla as well.
Beautiful.
Good looking dog too.
Beautiful. Although it looks like they're getting a Heineken. I hope that dog's not being fed beer. What have we got next? Oh, there we are. There we are, and there's the salty chips. You think they made some dip for theirs, Jamie?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to see. He's got Heineken as well. He's got chips, dip, Welsh flag. Happy days.
The Welsh flag. Yeah, they'll not be quite so happy. Next, what have we got? Oh, look at that. Yes, party started. Even the cat's in on the act.
That looks dangerous.
Although I hope that's one household, otherwise they're going to be in a whole world of trouble.
Just don't call sturgeon.
Oh, the onesies. Is that the Visser household? I think that might be the Visser boys.
I hope that if they've retained one thing, it's that they should refer to Doohan as Sexy Vis and that their dad is now second rate.
Well, they refer to Daddy as poor man's Doohan.
Yeah, go for it. Next picture. Have we got any more? Oh, I wonder who they're supported. Oh, that's
Kilted
Landwit
as well.
Fadra.
Well done. Kilted Welshman. Love it.
That's Landwit Fadra. I'm sure that's the club crest in behind there. That is quality. Bar in the house. I don't think they'll be allowed at the rugby club, but yeah, good. And look at the bottle coolers, the Welsh bottle coolers. Lovely. Love it. Oh, Visser, Sexy Vis, is this a joke? I'm definitely better looking than Van der Merwe. He is not happy to Visser notification.
Should we change his name in our phones to second rate Doohan or
to Sexy Vis? He's not happy. Look at this. Is this a joke? Is this a joke? I'm better looking. I better take it away before people see his number and start hurling abuse at him. Love it.
He's typing as well. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
So, what was the Gregor team talk? Did it change with the Welsh try?
No, I don't think it will. Well, I think the key point you will have got across is, look, lads, if you cop soft penalties like that, that's the price that you pay. But that's something that we all know as professional rugby players. So Graham, who came on, will be really disappointed that that's what been one of his contributions, letting Wales back into it. But no, I think, look, generally, the pressure they've exerted, the turnovers they forced Wales to cough up. And when they've had the ball, they look dangerous. They've looked the more dangerous side. So I think you'll say keep going the way we're going, keep doing what we're doing, keep exerting pressure, give away nothing cheap, and keep going at them. I think that'll be the message at halftime. Message
in from Jen, who seems to be on our side. I am very much in favour of Sexy Vis. Jen Coles. Oh, now Jamie, I think you know Jen Coles. Would that be right?
Yeah, I know Jen Coles from my time at Harlequins. So. Yeah, Jen, how are you? If you're watching,
Jen's watching with her old man. Jen and her old man are dialing into this purely because Dr. Jamie Roberts is on.
There we are. Happy days. No, she's a big Quins fan. So yeah, Jen, good to see you. I hope you're enjoying. Yeah, interesting to know if Jen wants Wales or Scotland to win.
I think she wants Wales because she's a Jamie Roberts fan. I'm not sure she's supporting Scotland. Great that Jen and her old man are there, and I'm glad she's on board with Sexy Vis, as I think we all are. Oh, there you go. Wales. She's definitely in for Wales. She's giving it a shout. Jamie, what have Wales got to come off the bench that you think might make a difference?
I mean, it's going to be hard. Scotland are defending really smartly. You know, whenever Wales want to play the width, Chris Harris, the open wingers, whether it's Darcy Graham or Sexy Visser, are getting up in the passage, getting up in the eye line. Biggs doesn't quite want to go there, does he? Whether we see Callum Sheedy come on with 20 to go, Wales have got to go and score points, man. I don't think they're going to claw their way back with 3-pointers. They need to go and attack Scotland, put them under pressure. They just haven't done that this half yet.
My rugby playing days are long gone, so I've turned my hand to #cricket. Have the chaps got any pre-season training tips for me from James? I think Johnny's got some red wine and Jamie likes pain.
Welcome to retirement. Embrace it. Cricket's just a way of getting away from the wife and kids, though, is it not? 50 overs, 50 over matches on a Saturday and Sunday. That's just a way to rid yourself 8 hours of your day. Well played, that man.
Yeah, thank you, Strathmore. After eating all these Fridays, what would be your preferred position? I'd want a hook so I could throw the ball in. There's no way I'm going in at 1 or 3. Not a chance. I'm throwing the ball in. So, if you're watching at home, make sure you get your player of the match in. If your choice matches up with the BBC pundits, then you are in with a chance of winning the bottle of Glenturret. Johnny, at this point, who would be your man of the match contenders?
Oh, that's dull. Gary Graham, poor boy, pinged again for going off his feet. I honestly, I don't know. I think it's been quite a broad performance from Scotland so far, and that's a shocker by Dan Biggar.
Sheedy time.
I don't. You mentioned his name, Jamie, but in terms of Sheedy, is that like? Do you want to be Sheedy coming onto this game? Do you want to be Sheedy coming on when it's close for Wales and you got 20 minutes to sort of change things? Is he the guy you want? Oh my days!
What is going on,
mate? Honestly, unrecognizable. Like if you're Callum Sheedy, do you want to be coming on and playing in this? Genuinely. I mean, I know he does, but
we need someone to change the game here. I was interested in Scotland went. That's a poor kick from Biggs.
What was he doing?
That goes to show that you should, as a winger, you should always stand there. That's another thing I'd always make sure with our wingers. Get there. Like, you've got to be in the position. Like, Doohan could have expected Biggs to make touch there, but he was there. This
again,
is
but just that's the swing in terms of territory. So you've got a chance to go for a strike play, 5 meter line out, potentially to level up or get within 1 score of the game. Instead, you find yourself defending a scrum.
On a half field, man.
Oh, mate. In the hardest position to defend on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, midfield scrum this far out is brutal.
Right, so Wayne Pivas getting a bit how much of that's not his fault?
No. But I would say that the disjointedness, if that's a word or if that's wine, the disjointed manner of the way Wales are playing leads to doubts creeping in mentally and leads to stupid errors like missing. I mean, I'm making excuses, but ultimately when you're badly organised and confidence is low because things aren't going right, you're more likely to make a schoolboy error. It's just fact.
Jamie, you getting messages for Stephen Jones?
No. No.
I'm getting some from Visser, though. He's saying 80 tries and 130 games for Edinburgh, and this is what I get.
Which way do you go here? I think, there's
right.
Only hog it,
always right. Always right. Especially as an 8, if I can get my 9 to block and I've got anything with Hogg on that right side channel, oh mate, disappointing.
Get away with it.
Is there anything more infuriating than tight head props giving away penalties and then laughing with their opposition on the way back from conceding a penalty?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see his. I don't know how they call these things, but one back for Wyn Jones though against Xander.
It's on a knife edge this game, man. Wales one try is literally twitchy time, isn't it?
Yeah. Good clear by Fallatai.
Is this the kind of game that's going to come down to a mistake?
Well, it's going to come down to poor discipline.
See, again, Scotland managing to catch the Welsh backline behind the gain line. They're doing a really good job so far.
Wales, this is the most phases I think they've played in the game.
Penalty.
Watson.
But the opportunity comes because Chris Harris and the Scottish backline the phase before have caught the Welsh backline behind the gain line.
Yeah, I agree with it.
It means that the Welsh forwards have to retreat to then try and go forward again. You can't get over the gain line. It's a soft contact, balls on the deck, and then you let somebody like Hamish Watson loose. But that comes from good collective work from the Scottish backline defensively. When was the last time Wales won the wooden spoon? Eddie from Sydney.
Eddie from Sydney.
Jamie? When was the last time Wales won a wooden spoon?
I don't know. It would have been pre-Six Nations, 5 Nations, probably in the 90s.
90s.
Don't quote me on that.
Where, that's well played.
Certainly not on Dr. Roberts' watch.
Good line.
Mate.
Here's a question for you. This must be Jamie.
Go on, Johnny. Advantage, but this is one of the areas that Scotland will not criticise, but in spite of the fact they dominated pretty much every stat last week, they couldn't really convert into points. It's a massive test for Scotland now to try and convert all this energy into some more points.
See, you'd like to think they'd take a shot there, like a back play, just take a shot. I mean,
something
just to change it up, because Wales are probably stronger contact-wise. What do you do here? I think they go for a try here, do they?
See, I would go for 3.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think
just stretch further. Look, you take it to 20 points to 8. Oh, jeez. But then, do you know what? This is so exciting to watch. It's come from everybody watching Exeter.
Yeah,
Exeter the first ones to start it maybe 2 seasons ago in the Prem, but
England
it's
did
so
it
much
today,
fun to watch. Everyone does it now. Like, it's so rare to get down in that red zone. If you've got a buffer, go for it. Oh, here we go. Oh, good tackle. Yes! Oh, has he dropped it? Oh!
Has he dropped it? Big moment, that.
So Scott Cummings, who I watch a lot for Glasgow as well, comes on these really, really hard direct lines outside the second defender. He's such a big unit. He's so hard to stop. Like he comes in that zone quite a lot, but it's just whether he impedes. He almost gets in front of Graham there. Is that crossing, would you say?
Yeah, it's obstruction.
Oh, it's a penalty, yeah. Oh, gutted.
That's a massive moment in the game, that.
Jamie, while we're waiting, there's a question there about Ellis Jenkins, and I think you're the man with the expertise here. Where is he in the pecking order? We able to get that question back up, Sean?
I don't think we should expect Ellis to be back playing Test rugby too soon. Look, he's been out of the game for 2 years. He got seriously injured against South Africa in 2018, actually, November 2018.
He was man of the match, wasn't he, in the game?
He was, and then in the last,
he was phenomenal.
The last block of the game, he wiped his knee out, real serious injury. And it was great to see him back playing. He played Friday night for Clues back in 2 years and 2 months. Well, 2 years and 3 months, really. Here we are. Shitty's on 50 minutes.
He scored a try as well, didn't he, on his return?
So, yeah, he scored a try yesterday. Just a little friendly game, but it'd be great to, they've got to make sure they don't push him too quick now. Ellis he's been out of the game for a long time, so let's not expect to see him in an international jersey too soon.
But he absolutely has proved that he is top class. Like he was, I remember watching that game against South Africa. He was top class. Feet by Hoggy. That's two big penalties to concede.
Roll there. Like, this is the thing of the breakdown now. The Scottish cleaners couldn't get there because Tom Francis didn't roll. Well, the ref on another day there pings Tom Francis.
Goes the other way.
Yeah.
Two big decisions to go against Scotland, to go one right underneath their posts to get them out of jail, and a second one now to concede up to the 22.
When Darcy Graham took that ball earlier off the back of the line out and shrugs off Alan Wynne, how does Alan Wynne take things like that, Jamie?
Oh God, yeah, he won't be too happy with that.
Well, that would be highlighted in the video.
That's a penalty against Scotland, surely. Yeah. Oh, well played, lads. Well played. Well played. Great play. That was outstanding.
They're going to look at it.
What are they looking at? For me, that was outstanding from start to finish. Great line out take. Went absolutely smashed it. Went forward at a rate of knots. Scotland on the back foot, and the launch play looked great as well. Well executed, well thought out. What are they looking for, Jamie?
I don't know. There's a difference. Pen advantage actually took a shot.
Again, goes back to discipline, though. You lose that. You turn the ball over. You've refused the 3 points, turned it down. You decided to tap quick and go. You get turned over underneath your point, and then you find yourself 17-13 down within 2 minutes. That's why I said take 3 points. Got a game, though.
Jamie reckoned that Wales are going to win by a couple.
And Jamie, another question for you, mate. But the centre that's come on, who's at Cardiff, what are your thoughts on the residency rule?
No, it's 5 years now, isn't it? So they changed it 3 to 5 years. Look, yeah, it's it's part of. Hang on a minute.
Oh, Jouet. Great carry by George Turner. Oof. I think he's just knocked out Alan Wynne-Jones as well.
That's a great kick.
It's unbelievable from that angle. Oh, nearly. Oh, he's kicked it. Class. See, I'd say that ball's nearly out as well. I know you can't kick it in a ruck, but I thought that was out.
It was a decent counter. It was only Darcy over the breakdown.
The ball's now out the ruck. Ah, it's harsh. Foul play against Blue 3.
Ferguson hitting the ruck.
I don't know, but just like... I'm going to have to drink more wine. First reaction, Jamie? Oh, mate, it's the exact same. Clearly at fault. A rise from a distance, head on head.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, no.
Wales have got another red card. Jesus.
Mate. I'm going to be gutted. Oh. Absolutely gutted.
I think there's a chance for somebody to stake a claim for man of the match. Somebody's going to have to now win this game.
The thing is, it looks like it happens so quickly. It's like it's a glancing blow.
You're very quiet, Dr. Roberts.
I'm listening with French comms lads, and they're saying it's a clear red card, 100%. France TV, Dimitri Yashvili is saying ban him for 6 months. It's not as clear cut, you have to say, as the one from last week.
No.
It's more of a glancing blow, but it's definitely the zone is correct. It's high speed and it is head to head. And if he doesn't move his head out of the way, it's shoulder to head. So it's probably going to end up a nasty collision either way.
This is red.
Yeah, he's gone.
That's made it a very different finish.
Red card.
Here's a question from Sean. Is there anything realistically he can do? He's already on the charge into the ruck.
No, just get lower. You can't make contact with the head now.
Hey, he's not high there, to be fair. The weird thing is it happens so quickly. And you know what it's like, Jamie, when you go to clear a ruck, you're basically got an acceleration of 4 or 5 years to do to clear out and do damage.
Yeah.
Judgment in that area is really hard. Like, it's something that's come in, but it affects the game massively. Yes, we want to protect people, but I don't think there's malice in a lot of these collisions, but we have to do what's right to protect people and protect their heads with everything we've seen around concussion. I honestly, genuinely don't think there's that much more. He's going to do damage. Like, for position, somebody's in that position, you're aiming for the back of the top of their neck, the top of their back. Fabien Galtier, Mauro Ledesma was like, your objective is to break people's backs. That's what they would say. That's what you aim for. All right, so you fly in, and now look, you've got slight movements and people lifting their heads up and mistimings and collisions at high speed. And that's it. The head gets lifted right at the very minute, and it's gone to clear red. You can't say anything about it. But he's low. I mean, he's not high at all. I mean, that's happening half a meter off the ground. You can see Xander's nearly completely off his feet. It's just badly timed. And he'll be devastated with that.
Makes for an interesting end to the game.
Horribly. It does. Man down, Jamie. Do you think this is going to be too hard for Scotland now with a 2-point cushion?
Too hard now.
Oh, it's going forward at a rate of knots as well. It's the kind of thing as a player as well. Your tight head prop opposition gets taken off with the red card. It's go time. You're thinking scrum time. You're thinking maul time. Absolute domination. Go forward. It becomes really hard for the Scottish boys now. Oh. He looks confident though, eh? Oh yeah, well done.
Oh, was it short?
He looks like he's on white there to me. Try time. Oh, how quickly things can change. How confident we were in the first half, Bruce. Me in particular.
Yeah, things that like you said, Jamie, that try before half time has
Massive.
Just made everything important, didn't it? From then on, Fagerson was unlucky, but any contact the head is red. Steve at Alton, yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing with you, Steve. I don't think we're disagreeing.
A couple of really key moments, though. That try before half-time, then Scotland's refusal to go for 3 and extend their lead, go for a quick tap, get turned over, and the red card for Fagerson, unfortunately.
So then they score that try.
There was no malice from Xander, though, was there? There was nothing. There was no intention for that to be head on head. He looked kind of bemused with the whole thing, but slowed down and examined, it's a red card. Is Johnny opening a Magnum now?
I've got one waiting for me upstairs.
Hutch is getting involved.
It's the second bottle, but there's a... Oh, geez. There's a nice Magnum upstairs. I'm going to have to join the wife afterwards and get the Magnum out.
How would John and Jamie change the breakdown loss to stop incidents like this and Willis's injury earlier? Steve's back again. What would you do? Gee whiz, that could be a 3-hour webinar, I think, Steve.
No, we were talking about it before. I think one of the biggest aspects is the roll out. So like the ability to hit people and then roll and change the point of where the weight is just an absolute recipe for disaster for knees. Possibly removing the roll, so it has to be a clear out, but then you lead into having massive head-on-head collisions and shoulder-on-head collisions, so you can't win. Like it's the hardest area of rugby, without a doubt. So, don't know how you change it, Jamie, but like the way Willis got rolled out earlier and everything going in his knee was just frightful to watch.
Brutal, yeah, brutal. Yeah, do they just stop the croc roll? Do they just ban the croc roll? That's the.
I would say so. Well, you've already gone with neck roll, so just go one step further.
Like if you ban the croc roll, you've already lost the collision if you're croc rolling someone. That's penalty Scotland.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Bit more upbeat, Johnny.
It's the thought of the Magnum. Look, that's huge.
What do you do here, boys? Three or touch?
No, you have to take 3. Have to take 3 to get back into the game. Look, especially after Wales missing that conversion to get the extra 2. They're going to go for touch. Oh, lads. Tell you what, though, they're backing themselves.
Oh, Steve again. Do you stop the contest on the floor at the tackle? Remove the jackal. Gee whiz, Steve, you're killing Hamish Watson there, I think.
I mean, that's not rugby, is it, Steve? Come on, mate.
You can't take away the jackal, mate.
Steve, I'm intrigued. To get back, I'm intrigued that a club in Southampton are watching. Who are you supporting, Steve? Strathmore faithful are being quite quiet. Was Xander getting a red card? Strathy old farts back on.
Advantage, lads. Have a shot. Pot shot. Ball in there. Here you go, Finn. Take the 3, please.
We got somebody on saying, take the points.
100%.
Got Cummings and both Greys on.
With 14, though, are you going to get this chance to score a try? Yeah. I think with the game now, mate, I think this is a good decision.
Yeah.
Like, you can go level all you want, but are you going to get this amount of pressure in opposition 22 again in the game?
There's still a long time to go as well.
Yeah, but with 14 men, like, I think...
No, take a chance to score now. You've got a long time. You might not get a chance for 3 again.
Well, no, you might not get a chance to win the game again. I'll go ahead. Get what I mean?
You also might not get the chance for 3 points, equally.
Yeah, I think it's a different ball game if it's a 17 all at the minute. I think you kick 3.
Defend a lead or defend a draw.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get the draw in the bag to start and then see what happens.
If you start now and you can't score, well, then you don't deserve to win. Like,
yeah. Tell you what, the Scottish scrum though, jeez. Go on. Oh, this would have got that. So what about the Scottish scrum though? That's impressive.
Big lumps of second rows, both Grey boys.
Yeah, awesome to see Richie Gray back as well. Obviously, after his time in France, I was with him in Cast, and then he was earning an absolute fortune in Toulouse. Really struggled with his back towards the end and couldn't get fit, basically, with the conditioning staff. So, look, he's delighted to be back home. He had a little boy as well a year and a half ago, so he's delighted to be back home and have the help back home with the little one. But just amazing seeing him back on the field. He's been out for so long, and he is so good. Like, you've been on tour with him, Jamie, British Lions. Lovely big bloke as well, so great to see him back playing with his brother. He's a legend.
He's a big man. I remember landing in Hong Kong with the Lions in 2013, and the only person people cared about in the airport was Richie Gray. And it was all the Chinese, because they always wanted to have a photo with him. He was like a basketballer, like MVP, like proper, literally like, this guy's so big.
Yeah. Mate, we went on tour as well with Richie to America. So we played America, Canada, and then went down to Argentina and South Africa. And like, we got there, and non-stop people, like women, would just come up to him and be like, "Can you make me NBA babies?" Like 4 times a day. We'd be walking through a mall or out for dinner at night, like not even in a sort of place where you'd expect to be hit on, but because they're just so big on massive people out there. "Could you make me some NBA babies?" It'd be awesome. All the time. He's so big.
How did him and his brother get on, Johnny?
Oh, like a house on fire. They're both lovely blokes. Really, really good boys. Actually, both quite reticent as well in many ways. Quite quiet boys, but completely lovely, normal, down to earth. Really hard working. That's the thing about the pair of them, is just the graft that they put in. They're both complete grafters. But tremendous boys. They get on really, really well, the pair of them. And it was always quite cool, see, like packing down behind them and having 4 and 5 in front of them playing together. I really enjoyed it. Really good pair to have together.
Do they score here, Johnny, or not?
I really hope so, Jamie.
Here's a great one on screen. Here's Rich, the guy with the books in the front room. Rich, we loved everything about that. The books, Richie, the shelves, the floor. Richie Rich. What's your call? I reckon Jamie's going Wales and Johnny still reckons Scotland are going to nick it.
I don't know if Scotland score here. If they convert here. But if they don't, or they cough up ball, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, I think this is the game. This scrum.
It's a much better scrum for Wales, though. Go on, Hoggy! Go on, Hoggy! But see, then that is the value of Hoggy, is that one-on-one.
Jamie.
Well, that's, I have to say, again, poorly defended. Do you not agree? Like, they've held off Hoggy. Like, your man-on-man D, just get up. You've got a 9 coming into channel. Your man-on-man, just get up and put pressure on him, chop him low, but they hold off, give him time. Like that hesitation, hitch. He's got so much class and time on the ball. Oh, well done, big fella. What do you reckon, Jamie? A little bit naive defensively?
How can you drift defence there?
You can't, mate. You have to come up and spot.
But why are they having to though, Jamie? Because they're down a man in the back line. So what's happened there? What structures let them down there?
They're not down a man in the back line, mate. It's 3-on-3.
But Scotland have got 8 in the scrum, so there's only 6 in the back line.
Yeah.
So what are they? Why are they not marked up there?
I know that'll be really, really disappointing. Really disappointing because this is a massive kick.
Go on, Finn. That looks good as well.
What a kick!
I mean, totally ballsy as well. Mate, defensively, where are they? Oh, my goodness. That's poor. But then now can Scotland hold on to ball and grind it out? Look, you've got a 4-point lead.
I've just got to be smart here, Scotland. I think in Ali Price and Finn, they've just got to control the game, you know. Just get the ball out of your own half. Like, you know, no messing around here.
Oh, great tackle by George Turner. Oh, no. Go on, scramble, scramble, scramble.
Oh. Lucky bounce for Scotland, that.
Well done, Hoggy.
Do you find it tough being a spectator, Johnny?
When it's this close? Look, no, normally I absolutely love it. But I just think now, look, you've really got 12 minutes to eke your way through. You're a man down, your tight head props off the pitch. It's tough. It's tough going. It's hard. I think as well, when you watch rugby, you forget, like Jamie, you'll understand this well, you forget how hard it is on the pitch, how hard they're working, how hard their hearts are pumping, the graft that goes in, and especially when you're down to 14 men for the last 25 minutes. It is tough. So, look, I empathise with what's going on the pitch. It is now all hands to the pump. You've got 12 minutes to achieve something pretty special. And look, I just hope they do it, is my is my honest feeling.
Just need to put my smoker up a little bit. I've got some lamb cooking on the smoker.
Oh, of course you do, Dr. Robert.
Yeah, I'm just going to watch this Fraser play.
What do you reckon, Hoggy's lid, Johnny?
I mean, his actual lid, the lid that I grew up with, or the fox that he's slain and popped on the top of his head? Look, I don't know how much money he's paid for it, but it's a damn sight better than the way it was 36 months ago.
Okay.
Oh, he's rapid as well. Oh,
what a
it's
try.
an amazing finish. That is an amazing finish. Fair play. But then, do you know what? It's been coming. The red card, the way that Wales have been much more comfortable in the ball. Obviously, Scotland a man down, playing it out the back of mini pods, stretching the Scottish defence, getting to an edge. But that is a wonderful finish by Rhys Emmett. That is top class stuff by that young man.
What's that? 5 tries in 6 games?
Yeah, but look, obviously you're a man short, so your D-line has been completely shorn. Chris Harris before was able to get up and shut everything down that was out in that wide channel, but the fact that they're a man short and they're tighter around the park means that they just can't get that midfield aggressive press going. What do you make of that one, Jamie?
This is nervy.
What a game, though, man. I was just saying to Bruce, the fact that we're a man down Scotland, you think of how Chris Harris in the midfield towards an edge were pressing and able to close in that first half, but they can't do it. They're a man short, they're getting stretched, and Chris Harris is getting isolated now at the 13 channel.
Yeah, that is a big miss, that kick.
He missed the last one as well from in front of the posts.
Yeah. He got his first one and looked quite confident.
But that's 4 points he's left.
Yeah.
Hey, come here.
Jamie, there's a bit of a high demand coming in for the best post-match celebration. I think everybody wants to hear the Andy Powell story.
Hang on a minute. We'll just get this phase of play.
Oh, I thought that was a penalty for Wales. Go on, man. Oh, great rip, to be fair. I just think that red card's been a total leveler. I don't know what you boys think, but in terms of how much more comfortable and how much more settled Wales look in both attack and defence, it's like they're giving them a massive boost. And Scotland don't look anywhere as potent when they're going forward. And obviously in defence, it's so much harder when you're a man short. That's a great rip, though. Fair play. Jamie, were you with Andy Powell towards the end of that night when he ended up in a golf buggy or not? I was with him at the start.
I was with him at the start of the night and walkabout. I
was with him at the start. It's like he sat down. Well, like we spoke about this before, but it's sort of the day where you could still have a laugh with your opposite numbers after a game. Now it's quite serious and teams fly in and they fly straight back out. But like that was one of the last in 2010. We sat down. You sat with your opposite number. So Andy Powell came and sat down next to me, and he was just like, "What'd you bench press, bud?" And I thought, this isn't going anywhere, this conversation. But I think we polished off something like 6 bottles of wine between the two of us at the post-match dinner, and then he obviously ended up in walkabout, and I took myself to bed at about 2. I woke up in the morning, it was all over social media that he was halfway. I don't know where he was. Oh, go on, Finn. But he'd found himself in a golf buggy and got himself into a spot of bother driving up the wrong way in the motorway. How was he in walkabout?
He had his top off.
He'd taken his. I remember he taken his scissors to his aftermatch suit. Remember? Oh, that was a big ball to cough up.
Oh, I just can't see it.
I just think Scotland.
I'm just nervy that someone's going to
do something stupid. But like Scotland there, like if you'd had 15, you would keep your hands on the ball, you'd maintain pressure, you're on the opposition 10-metre line. There's no reason to give the ball away or kick it, but that's just giving the ball back.
Good player.
Who's that, mate?
Hugh Jones.
He's got a real problem with his D, though. He tackles with his hands. But in attack, he's phenomenal.
He's kind of got his mojo back, hasn't he?
Welsh D's on top. Oh, we go!
Oh!
That's a big fella. Let it sing. I was going to say, how good has Hoggy been the past 25 minutes, though? Here we go, lads. Go on, Hoggy. Good carry, Johnny.
Scotland just trying to get a penalty here. Just trying to get
something in front of the sticks.
Keep the pill.
But this would be not the criticism that was leveled. I mean, a ridiculous result last. Oh no, man. Would be the fact that look, they had.
What a kick!
Oh, it's a great kick. And that they had a ton of ball last week, but couldn't convert all of that possession and domination into massive gain line success and points. And that again, look, I know it's really hard with 14 men, but maybe finding a slight edge, a little bit more clinical. Obviously, to keep 15 men on the pitch is a different story, but just failing to convert the possession they've had, whereas Wales, obviously, a man up, have been much more dominant defensively.
Rhys-Zammit getting himself man of the match.
Oh, Rhys-Zammit all day long. Jesus. That kick was outrageous then.
His finish was stunning as well. But then... So this is where I don't want to hark back to other days, but I think that's almost a panicked kick away. We're not going forward, get rid of the ball, but it's not a kick with pressure on the end of it. You're not asking Wales any questions. Ultimately, you're just as good keeping hold of the ball, where somebody like a Greg Laidlaw, far less flashy, would have been like, just keep the ball in the middle of the pitch, keep playing, zigzag, try and find a fault, and keep working. But what a kick by Rhys-Zammit. That is outstanding.
Man of the match. Is he a lion, Jamie?
I think so.
Zammit, you reckon?
Yeah, I think on current form he is.
Oh, no, man. Yes. Oh. So, Jamie, there is, in a nutshell, our Warren Gatland. Is he going to pick Finn as a Lions 10? With that last action?
I don't know. I mean, Wales just don't give away a penalty.
Oh. Oh, lads. I need a miracle now, boys.
How often have we said that about Scottish rugby?
But it was so comfortable for 3/4 of the first half. Wales didn't offer anything, but they have absolutely worked their way back into the game. Can I ask you the question, Jamie? Do you think, I know the game's not finished yet, but do you think it would have been a different story both this week and last if Wales hadn't been playing against 14 men?
Hadn't been?
Yeah, if Ireland had kept O'Mahony on the pitch and Scotland had kept Xander Ferguson on the pitch, do you think they'd have won 2 games if they're going to win this one?
Yeah, probably.
You think they would have won both?
Oh, advantage. Jesus.
Go on, lads.
Oh, my God.
Who's the captain when Alan wins off Jamie?
Ken, probably, but Ken's off as well, so.
Ken's off. Tipperick?
Yeah, probably Tips.
Oh. Like, what a place to give away a penalty as well. Muppet.
Driver off the top.
You got to drive, mate. You got to generate go forward momentum. Suck everyone in, try and get another advantage. And then when it's going forward, get a decent launch. Oh, no.
Just playing to win penalties now.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
Oh, Finn Russell.
Oh!
Oh, no. Oh, he's not giving advantage. Penalty Scotland. Oh. Oh. What about the offload? Oh, my days.
Tackling then.
I don't know. He's man of the match, though, whoever made that tap tackle. Fellas, Scotland were winning 17-3.
Yeah.
17-3, and then decided not to take 3 points and make it 20 points to 3. What about that offload, though? Who makes this tap tackle?
13. Matt Ferguson put a hell of a lot into that.
How lucky is Wayne Pivac? Oh, my days.
Grand Slam on, Jamie?
I mean, England at home next. You know, the lads always lift their game 50, 20%, 5%, 10%, whatever for England. I mean, you know, they stay in test matches. Wales are a resilient side, like we've always known that. But, you know, that's a proper result up there. You know, not obviously helped along by Ferguson's red card, but, you know, Scotland just didn't take their chances today. That try, when that was an obstruction over the line, was a walk-in.
Fellas.
You said Wales by 2, Jamie. Wales by 1. You showed great faith in your boys. Visser's going to have to eat his words. He said he didn't think you were telling the truth.
Heartbroken. I think is what you say, Grand Slam for Wales, but I think, look, with England to come with, they still got to go away to France, who are in ridiculous form.
Yeah, I mean, look, Wales, it's all about the next game, isn't it? They got 2 weeks. They got some players to come back now. You know, Johnny Williams will be back from HI. I think John Davis is fit for England. And it's their final, England, because they win that, they're not going to lose to Italy, and then all of a sudden they're on for a slam in
Paris.
But
so it comes down to, if England get a red card, Wales might win in 2 weeks' time. Yeah. Otherwise,
don't lose your discipline against Wales. Come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. Like, going from, because obviously pre-tournament they were 3 from 11 wins, Jamie. Not in good form. For my money, Ireland were almost the better team with O'Mahony off after 15 minutes. But I think you're right. Like, Scotland today, so much possession, had the opportunities to go for 3 points to extend their lead, didn't take them. Obviously lost Zander, and then it's a completely different ballgame for the red card.
You've completely lost Dr. Roberts. He is just so happy. Look at him. He's got a win. He's got his butt. He's a happy lad. Yeah, he's a happy boy. So, are you happy with man of the match? You think he's deserving of it? That kick and 2 tries?
So. Yeah, I think so. And he's got an assist on that other try, on the Liam Williams try as well. So, some player, very, very quick, and no substitute for that pace on the wing.
Well, our man of the match competition, so the winner of the bottle of Glen Turret, well done for selecting Rhys Zammit, probably not too far away, but well done to Jessica Morgan. So that bottle of Glen Turret will be winging its way to you. Enjoy. Jessica Morgan must have been supporting Wales, surely. So that bottle of Glen Turret is on its way to you. Well done, Jessica. Thanks for tuning in. Great to have had you with us. And our photograph, our winner, who wins another chance to come back, had to be, Jamie, you missed this one, has to be, and this is Catherine Hamilton. I'm not sure if Catherine's at the front of the picture there, but well done to Catherine. You've won another login for another game that's coming up. Probably going to be that England game, I would think, with Mr. Anscombe and Mike Brown as our legends. So well done to you. Thank you for tuning in. What a great picture. No doubting who you were supported there. Jamie, sum it up. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel relieved. Look, did Wales play well enough to win that game? I think throughout the game, Scotland were the better side. But that's not always translated to the scoreboard in Test rugby. It's about taking your chances. And Wales, whenever they got in the Scotland 22, they scored tries. And Scotland just didn't do that. They applied pressure, but that pressure wasn't points. Johnny spoke about it last week in Twickenham. Yes, they won in Twickenham, but probably didn't convert those 22 opportunities, and Wales did. The proper sucker punch performance from Wales today. Absorb, don't concede, bang, 7 points, and that's Test match rugby.
Johnny, is it progress for Scotland? Is that the usual Scottish sort of get out? We played well, should have won, didn't, but we're progressing.
Did they progress? Not really. I think if you look at the level of performance that they had at Twickenham, that was a step above. Certainly for large parts of that first half, they dominated a lot of facets of the game. But ultimately, they refused certain cheap points. And there's difference in opinion between Jamie and I and what points you take. But I felt they could have taken at least 2 chances to nudge 3 points ahead twice. So they refused 6 points in the red zone. And ultimately, when they got down to the red zone on a few other occasions, they weren't potent enough to finish off. And that is what they have to live with. Look, they've got enough to get down there. They're creative enough. They've got the imagination to get themselves into good areas. But once they're there, they have to convert. And I think they're once again cruelly almost exposed by Zander's red card. It makes the task 10 times harder. You go a man down at this level, it's mission impossible. So, look, good first half performance, potentially slightly naive for me in not taking the points when they're on offer. And in the end, we paid by losing narrowly when I think it could have been comfortable. If we'd kept 50 men on the pitch and we'd taken our points on offer when they were there, it would be a different ballgame.
You reckon there's some players to come in, Jamie, to make it stronger?
Yeah, if he will be let back from injury, I think John Davis will probably come back in. Johnny Williams should be fit for England. I mean, England's a cut final for Wales now. It's a massive game, isn't it? Yeah, it's huge. Wales, England, 2 weeks' time.
Wales, England, 2 weeks' time, and you'll be playing, so we'll watch on with great delight. Johnny, what does Scotland do? Does Cam Redpath come back in if he's available? Jamie Ritchie, what do you think Scotland can do differently?
Look, Blade Thompson's gone off. Clearly not right. Jamie, as soon as he can get back in, 100%. One of our best players, absolutely key defensively as well with the work that he does. Cam Redpath, we'd love to see more of him in a blue jersey. But look, I think it's going to be real. If you'd won that game now with momentum, you could say, look, looking back to 1999, the last time Scotland did something and won the Five Nations, they won away in Paris. But now the next game being away in Paris with a French side that isn't the French side that we've known for the past 10 years, they're now a proper team, organised, drilled. Sean Edwards adding an extra dimension defensively, Fabien Galtier leading their attack and managing them well. So it's going to be hard, really, really hard for Scotland in the next round in Paris.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to share the afternoon and the game with you. While Johnny and I wanted a different result, there's not much we can do to control that, but I think everybody at home has really enjoyed having you. Jamie Roberts and Johnnie Beattie, absolute legends in the living room. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the lamb, Jamie, I think it was. And
yes,
Johnny
lamb shoulder is on the Kamado, so I'm going to get that now. Happy days, mate. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the Welsh win. Sorry, Johnny.
Johnny, go and enjoy that Magnum of wine. Brilliant to see you both. Thanks, gentlemen. Hopefully we'll meet again soon. All the best. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can't control the result, neither can I. I hope you enjoyed the game. It was an absolute belter again. We've chosen two crackers to get us up and running. Jamie Roberts and Johnnie Beattie have just been in your living room. How cool is that? Or in your little makeshift bar, Catherine, which was quality. It looks very, very good. I think we all need to pay a visit to that at some point soon if we get a chance to go on tour. Thank you to the clubs who tuned in, to Strathmore, to Cartha, to Alton and to Landwitt Fadra. Brilliant to have you with us. I hope all your members enjoyed it and were able to stick together and probably had the WhatsApp group going as well, especially when we got that picture of Dr. Roberts back when he was an 18-year-old pup carving it up. Just brilliant. Isn't the rugby world small but perfectly formed? Thank you to the Rugby Tour specialists for putting together Rugby Bash, legends in your living room. Thank you to Snackfully for getting the snacks going. I didn't want to chew too loud, so I've got a few more to tuck into. Thank you to Glen Turret Whiskey. I've got a little one which I thought was going to be able to celebrate, but maybe it's just going to have to be to drown the sorrows. And how cool are my coasters with Johnnie Beattie and Jamie Roberts on them? Absolutely delighted with those collector's items for sure. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll see you again. We've got heaps more games going on. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Rugby Bash. Keep your pictures coming in, hashtag Rugby Bash. We love to see them. We love to see people getting involved. My name is Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Egg-Shaped. I've been your host and I have absolutely loved my afternoon, although I would like to have changed the result. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.
Here, at Scotland's oldest working distillery. Everything we do is underpinned by the three touchstones of the Glenturret Trinity: provenance, prowess, and passion. Our extraordinary provenance is founded upon the long history of this special place, the remarkable endeavours of past generations of owners and distillers, and the unique character of the new make spirit that continues to define the Glenturret today. Our traditional prowess is built upon the skill and expertise that goes into handcrafted whisky making, an unusually slow distillation process, and a resolute commitment to small batch production. Finally, Our enduring passion reflects our continuing fascination with the tradition of distilling. Our delight in every step of the whisky-making journey, and our deep desire to bring whisky lovers moments to treasure, in spirit and glass. The Glen Turret. By hand and heart since 1763.